Welcome, welcome, everyone. I nearly started apple juice breaks without my beer there. Sorry, we're a few seconds late. That would have been an absolute freaking disaster. So welcome back, guys. If you're watching after the fact, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I got a very special guest for you today. This is the kind of guy who tells the cashier at Walmart to click the affiliate link below. He's the kind of guy who can actually convince his dad to invest in Pokemon cards. He is entrepreneur, businessman, and all-round honest guy, Dan from KetchumAllCollectibles. Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. What are you drinking, man?
So I'm having tonight some Saranac Clouded Dreams. It's a very solid Northeastern IPA. I'm from upstate New York, fairly close to Utica, New York, home of Saranac Brewery. I've got a couple steins that go way back, one of my earlier collectibles, pre-Pokemon cards, or pre-getting back into Pokemon cards. So yeah, this is the home of Shelton Dooley. So that's who these guys are over my shoulder.
I love it. I love it. Utica. We will burn Utica to the ground. Yeah.
Yep. Utica did have a branch in the office. one of its very few claims to fame, I would say.
Very few. I'm drinking this. My neighbor got it for me. One of my good friends. It's a gorgeous Belgian beer. So we're sponsored by these guys today. West Mali Trappist, I think, extra. So we'll go there. So Dan, I gotta come and hop for you here, man. So how soon will Fusion Strike booster boxes be worth $14,000?
Oof. Well, I mean, it took base at, let's see, it took base at what, 22 years maybe? So 20 years, we should be there. I mean, that's the way it works, right?
Invest now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love your content, and I wanted to have you on the show for a couple of reasons. I mean, there's the business side of things, and then there's the investing side of things as well. And I think, you know, I had Pokieni on last week, and Brian has, you know, he's got the investing stuff going on, but he's kind of plays it cool in it. But you are like full on, like balls deep into the investing side of things, and I freaking love that. And you do it, I think, in a way that I would like to aspire to, in terms of like your honesty, your approach to things. And you genuinely want to give people great advice. So I want to get into both those things, probably the investing before the business side of stuff. But before we do that, just in case anyone watching this is like, who is Dan? Like, who's this guy? Would you mind giving us just kind of a brief intro and, you know, who you are, all that stuff?
Yeah, I'll give a quick rundown. I'm 34, so I had the classic 99 story. I was in like 5th grade, I think. I was the target demographic. I was mostly like the video game and then collecting the cards. I didn't do the anime a ton, to be honest. I'm going to very quickly jump 15 years ahead. 2014 is when I got back into it. And it just so happened, like I moved out of my parents' house after college, had the job, did all that good stuff, got the down payment saved up, bought a house, and I came across my binder sometime in like 2014-ish when I was unpacking stuff from the move. And I kind of dove right in. I was doing pretty well for myself at the time. Had a at the time girlfriend, soon to be fiance, living with me, who I'm now married to, have 2 beautiful kids with. And yeah, I allocated like $5,000 as just like a more of a collection, to be honest. I started as a pure collector, but quickly, and having the experience with steins, having the experience with coins, things of that nature, I always found the best value buying big lots, selling out what I didn't want, keeping what I did want for free. So that's where the genesis of all this was. I did it in every collectible that I'd been in prior, video games as well. And with video games, with steins, with coins, it went well, and I was able to amass a quite solid collection for free. But with Pokemon, not only did I amass a nice solid collection for free, that collection went up in value. I kind of hoarded more of that than I did all the other things. Yeah. And then one thing that Pokemon did that the other things didn't do, it 10 or 20x during the pandemic. So lo and behold, 2021, I quit my job, and I've been doing this full time for 3 years now.
I love it. And do you still enjoy it as much as like when you first started? Or, you know, less or more?
I guess in different ways. In many ways, I enjoy it vastly more. I love experiencing it with other people. I love going to the conventions and having a blast in that fashion. 2014 to 2020, or sorry, 2014 to 2018, I didn't really do any of that. 2018 Worlds was my first like foray into the. It wasn't a convention. It was Worlds. I went to 18 and 19. I went to Worlds. The whole world changed in 2020. So I took a couple years off. And then I was, but yeah, like experiencing with other people, that aspect of it is as good as ever. One with fellow businessmen, fellow friends, and other collectors and whoever that I see at the conventions. I'm actually going to New Jersey this weekend, but then with my kids too. My son just we had his birthday party recently. It's his birthday weekend this weekend. I gave him like I'll have to post it on Instagram at some point. I gave him like a vintage Pokemon toy. Yeah. Basically, like there's a thing in the top center that drops like these little pinball things down, and there's 4 people around. You play like a little pinball thing, and you want to not get him on your side. My son has been like begging to play. Like after dinner, I played a couple games, and so he wants to get the new video games. He constantly wants to open new sets as they come out. So in those ways, I'm enjoying it as much as ever. As far as like the collecting side, I would say my peak collection enjoyment would have been 2016 to 2019, probably, largely because that was when I was kind of like hitting the peak of having acquired everything, checking off all my goals. And I kind of make the joke a lot. Collector Dan has died in a lot of ways. Like once you start doing it full time, you kind of need to, or maybe it's prudent to sell off some amount of your former collection. And for me, like once I complete a goal, once I kind of reach that summit, I'm cool to take a couple pictures, literally post them on my Instagram, check that box. Like I did this, I summited Everest, and now I'll pass them on to someone else. So that's where I am in my like card collecting journey. A lot of my best days are behind me, to be honest. But as far as business goes, as far as like enjoyment with other people, with my kids, with friends in the hobby, I think the best is in the future on that side.
So I'm gonna pay attention to chat and put some stuff up here, guys. I'm gonna try and put stuff up and kind of go as we move as we go along here. But yeah, I mean this one's quite funny. Thanks to everyone who's joining as well. I think this is pretty good. So.
I've never had a beer out of one of my beer steins. I've literally owned hundreds of beer steins and I've never drank beer out of one of them. These things aren't clean enough to do it right now, but I will at some point on stream probably have beers out of one of my beer steins.
I love it. So how old's your son?
My son is he's turning 6. My daughter will be turning 4 this fall.
Okay, nice. So yeah, I got two girls. So I got one is 5 and one is 2. So the 5-year-old, I'm trying. Yeah, they got these like Pokemon sandals and stuff. They got a few bits, and Madeline, the oldest one, is like, yeah, you know what? If you want data, we can go to the Pokemon store after we get ice cream. So she's starting to kind of leverage it to her advantage and how it goes. But yeah, it's cool. Like opening packs for them as well. Like it's a lot of fun. Like it kind of takes you back, and they get into it, which I like. I like experiencing it over with the kids. So do you rip any products still? I mean, Collector Dan, or do you just, hey, like I want this one, I'm gonna buy it? Like.
I definitely, I think like inherent to the core of the hobby, the industry, gambling is there. And I'm not a problem gambler. I'm good at setting budgets and I'm good at managing it all. It doesn't like deteriorate my life or anything like that. But I'm a gambler. Like I like the gamble. I like the thrill. And one of my first events during / after the pandemic, actually, I went to, it was called Pokemon Saves the World. I believe it was in 2021 or maybe it was 2022. I don't remember, but it was in Vegas. I literally, like, it was in Vegas. So I partook in some of those activities there. But I went on stage during the charity box break event. Me and Old School Pokemon, my podcast co-host, we bought in packs. We bought a base set first edition, a base set Shadowless, and a base set Unlimited each that we ripped on stage for that like charity box break event. And that was a very expensive rip. Yeah. I bought into a beta Magic break at one of the early Orlando Collecticons. So I definitely try to like lower my budget since those times. I think 2021 to 2022 was like, hey, I've got all this house money. Let me throw it at a bunch of crazy stuff, try to do crazy stuff. And I think I got all that out of my system. But like every time a new set comes out, I'll split a booster box with the family, Japanese and English. And my son's actually got like the old school 3-inch like D-ring binder. I gave him all the pages, and he's doing a full Pokédex binder. So every time we just opened we just opened for his birthday. I gave him some random packs. I let my daughter, like I showed her a bunch of packs and I'm like, pick out a bunch for your brother. And he was going through, and it's crazy his memory, because he'll be like, oh, Lickitung, like we didn't have that one yet. Let's grab that one. We didn't have Mewtwo yet. And the way that he can remember which ones he's got and which ones he still needs, it's mind blowing, because it's probably like a multi-year goal, but we're going to fill out an entire Pokédex for him, something that I never achieved myself.
I love that. Yeah, their memories are like, it's so crazy. They'll be sitting on the table and just remember some random freaking thing from. Yeah, yeah, I love it. Oh, we need this one. Yeah. So a couple comments here before we move on. Are you buying Metazoo? Escaped Alien wants to know. Are you buying Metazoo?
So I've said it before. I've been asked before. I am a former Metazoo partner. If the right situation were to arise, I could potentially see it happening, but I can't say much more than that.
There we go. You buy Metazoo. I don't follow Metazoo a lot, so I don't want to get into that too much. So classic down, don't have a problem, followed by I'm a Gambler. Yeah, and Alison Silverland, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Always popping up.
A lot of familiar names.
Yeah, no, it's funny. You see the same people with the. I love reading witty comments. Like I love like when there's funny comments, ones that make me laugh on video. It's always good. All right, so I want to talk about your palette first of all. I want to get into this because the palette video. I'm not gonna lie, the palette video got me excited. I was like, man, this is it. I consider you more of like there's the retail investor and then there's institutional investors, right? And I would consider myself a retail investor, right? I'm doing my thing, get a box here and there, maybe I'll get a couple of cases, whatever. But you are like fucking stacking a pallet up, like getting into the, and that's awesome. That's great. I love it. So you stock the pallet up with quite a few bits there. So I guess my first question is kind of tongue in cheek is, why is there no Evolving Skies on your palette, Dan? Like you got Silver Tempest, but no Evolving Skies there. What's going on?
There were some ETBs, I think. I think I did do an Evolving Skies ETB case.
Boxes.
I think the odds are extremely low, but it was a lengthy video. I know. It's a co-investment thing that I'm doing with my dad. And one thing I know about his investing like temperament, I know that if things were to go down, he would have a hard time with it. Like he's more of a real estate guy than an S&P 500 traditional like stock, traditional equities guy. So part of me knowing the way that his temperament is, I avoided certain things in the Sword and Shield era block. Like even though the odds were astronomically low at the time that I were building it, theoretically, Evolving Skies is less than 2 years old. They could do it. I don't think they're going to, but they could do it. And just to pump the brakes slightly, I wouldn't classify myself as institutional investor, maybe like high retail investor, because honestly, think about your alpha investments. Think about like it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but like distributors invest to some extent because when a reprint comes out, say Evolving Skies were to be reprinted, the most likely scenario, I think they would offer me 2 boxes at $500 a piece, and maybe the price would fall from $700 down to like $520, $530 or something like that, which is a decent percentage wise, but like that's the way that it's been done historically. Because I think at one point when Evolving was in the high 100s, I think I was able to buy maybe a case or two at $120 each on a small reprint, restock, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's one thing that historically wasn't done. Usually if a thing was reprinted, you got it at your normal $81.50, $82.50, currently $89.50, $95, wherever you're at. But these days, when a reprint restock comes, they got you just paying market on it. And yeah, that's the way that it goes.
So the thing that baffles me is, so I think there's been, over the last year, there's been, I think, 2 instances I can remember of Evolving Skies actually being up on Pokemon Center again for like a blink and you'll miss it, like second. I don't get that. Like, and they're selling it at whatever it is, 130, 135, whatever, 180 Canadian. It's like, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just, make a little extra cash on it and cash it in? But I don't know. Someone's asking about the tier lists here. Yeah, we'll do an Apple Juice tier list video, man. Look, I've been doing these Apple Juice breaks for about 2 months. I gotta get some people to buy in before we start doing some crazy shit. Good evening, everyone. Snack Bread's there. How long until Dan says he's embarrassed of us? I don't get it.
I'm very embarrassed of Brad and Walrus. They're both mods on my channel.
Okay,
maybe right, Brad's not a mod. I don't know, but they're both regulars on my channel.
Okay, good. I actually censored one. I didn't put his comment up because he says you're conning people with these $25 a pop damaged cards.
I actually have my own Metazoo promo. That's the one that he's talking about. So I have this thing going where like I sold them in waves in small batches. I think I sold 100 of the first one and then 50 of the next one. I've guaranteed personally that no one will lose money on my MetaZoo promo because I sold them for $19.99 and I bought them back for $20. And then I sold my second wave at $24.99, but I'm permanently buying them back for $25. I think I've sold maybe 150 or 180 or so total, and I've only bought back 3 or 4 because the price is only going to go up. I mean, I can only guarantee that as long as I'm on this earth. I can't make sure my heirs will buy the promos back from you. So as long as I'm around, that offer's good.
Okay, awesome. Eraserhead Ray, yeah. I'm only interviewing people called Dan. It's just here's how it goes. I had Mimic Bro on the other day, so. So I wanted to talk about investing a little bit. So you're putting this palette away, and correct me if I'm wrong. You're gonna loop back around and review it, not necessarily pull it out and sell it. But 2030, 2029, something like that. 2030
is when I plan to not touch it until then. Some things are already doing crazy things, and it's like, man, if that was on my shelf here, I probably would just sell it. But my dad put it somewhere in storage, fairly deep, a little bit inaccessible. I will probably do a video, either maybe 6 months or a year. I'll probably do the first recap video because I have a spreadsheet of everything on it. I can very quickly tabulate like the current market value of everything. So I'll just say like, and another thing that I added in there, I added like gold and silver and Bitcoin and the S&P 500, things that I'll compare it to. Because constantly one thing we hear in like the investing space, it's outperformed the S&P 500, it's outperformed this and that. And my big thing that I did in that video, or at least one of the videos near it, is like, if the only thing you're after is what's performed the most over time, why are we not investing in Bitcoin? I'm not telling people to do that, but like I have some Bitcoin and that's far exceeded everything else in my portfolio for the time that I've had it. So if the only thing we're doing is going off historical returns, why not go for the biggest ones?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Actually, I've had people comment on my stuff. Like people, when you've had a piece of content that does a little better than usual, it goes out of your sphere, and then people who don't like you see it, right? And it's like this guy's like, "You're so fucking stupid. Like, just invest in Pokemon cards, just buy Bitcoin." And I'm like, yeah, they got a good point. I mean, look, I have Bitcoin too. I mean, you have a fair chunk of Bitcoin, which is good. But yeah, you make a good point on that. It's how do I approach this subject? So I wanted to ask you about like Pokemon investing versus other stuff, the reality of Pokemon investing, and also like whether you should be doing it. So it's a large subject, but I feel like we have time to get into it. And you put it really well. Like you really do. Like anyone who hasn't seen any of Dan's videos, like I would encourage you to go and give him a watch, because and if you've got a long drive coming up or you're doing something around, you can really listen to it and get some stuff done, because they're longer videos, but there's a lot of value in there. So first of all, should people be investing in Pokemon cards if they don't have any money?
It's all about opportunity cost. So the definition of investing is like seeking returns, essentially. I mean, you could look up the definition in 20 different places. You'll get 20 different definitions. But yeah, he's ready for the buckets.
I'm ready for the buckets too.
Opportunity cost is the biggest thing. If you don't have much money, there's a decent chance you might have student loan debt, you might have a mortgage, you might have, and there's good debt and there's bad debt. Ideally, and the biggest thing with investing is like risk-adjusted returns. There's no guarantees except for one. The one guarantee, the one certainty you can have in investing is, say you have a credit card, as most do. If you have a credit card that you're buying Pokemon investments on and your interest rate is 30%, you have the lowest hanging fruit of all people. Your opportunity cost is so massively high because you need to overcome that 30% return. You need to overcome the 30% cost of carrying that inventory. So, I mean, I'm in a spot where I haven't had credit card debt ever in my life. I've been in a good spot financially. But yeah, if you're paying that, say you have 10 grand, oh, do I want to put it in Evolving Skies? Do I want to put it in Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, whatever? If you can pay off 10 grand in credit card debt, you're saving yourself $3,000 guaranteed over the next 12 months in just interest payments. So no one else in the world, like something will double. Some individual stock will double. Some cryptocurrency will double. Some Pokemon product will double, but nobody knows which one. So yeah, absolutely. You're not going to get the best return of anyone in the world, but you're going to get the best guaranteed return of anyone in the world. Like There is no one out there that can just guaranteed make 30% on, especially once you get to larger sums of money. Like Warren Buffett talks about it all the time. Early in his years, he was able to much more easily double, 5x, 10x, $10,000, $1 million than he can do with tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. So a lot of it comes down to scale too, and that applies for Pokemon as well.
No, 100%. So I want to acknowledge some comments here. So DNG Emporium, I'm really sorry for pronouncing your name wrong in one of my videos. You're an absolute legend. I love your stuff. Super cool.
James is good. I'm not hammered at all, but I'm starting to feel a buzz. Maybe we'll see where we end up.
Oh, here we go. If you're poor, don't do it. If you're rich, why not? Hey, look, I mean, some people want to buy a lottery ticket. Some people think they're gonna win, right? So, and hey, risk reward. Hopefully I haven't missed that much. Josh, good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. And then we got
very early on
Z and G go in chat. So actually that brings up a good point. So I mean, we were talking about this very briefly in kind of the pre-live. So people who maybe, you know, I don't want to say like living the paycheck to paycheck or whatever, but if you maybe you don't have a house, maybe you're renting, maybe, you know, you're not in a financial situation like, you know, like, I mean, you mentioned, I mean, I'll say the same thing, like, you know, my mortgage is paid off. I'm in a pretty good spot. You know, I got free cash. I'm investing in Pokemon cards. It's fun, right? If things go to shit, I'm in a decent spot. And I say that without arrogance. But some people, and I've been there in the past, where I've taken flyers on stuff like penny stocks or stuff like that, and it hasn't worked out, or some stuff's been kind of okay. Like, I mean, there's the gambling element to it. There is a little bit of that. And I think people are very much like, okay, well, you know, maybe I'll invest in a couple of these booster boxes. I see the content out there. I see some of the like charts on TCG Player. You know, maybe I'll have another base set booster box. I mean, do you think there's anything inherently wrong with that mentality? Do you think they should be staying away from that? I mean, I'm just asking for your take here.
There's a lot there. And I guess I'd be in trouble with myself as I thought back on this later if I didn't mention even better than 30% returns. I used to work at a company, very anecdotal. Not everyone has access to this, but the company that I worked at, if you put in 1% into your 401k, and you're in Canada, right? So
yeah, my employee doesn't do RSP matches, but I think I know where you're going.
You have the RSP, and every country has something similar-ish, I think, or at least most countries do. So yeah, if I put in 1% to my 401k, they would match it 100% up to 1%. And then they would give you profit sharing. So for the 10 years that I was there, the average profit sharing was 3%. So if you put in $1, like if you put in 1%, say you made 30 grand a year, you put in $300, that $300 turned to $1,500 guaranteed. Fluctuated a little bit by year. Some years it was 2%, some years it was 4%. So opportunity cost, massive. I just wanted to put that one in there. And then the next point is we're all very different situations. Personal finance, one thing I constantly say, very personal. And everyone's life situation is different. Another thing I always say is we're all in the same arena. The arena is Pokemon, but we're playing different games, and we're playing by different rules too, depending on how you're interacting in the space. So can I outright say that no one should buy anything and no one should get any joy? Like one thing, me doing everything I'm doing here, money is a big part of it. Being a business, you need to make money. But I also want to have a good time. Fun is another part of it. Joy, freedom, happiness, all that good stuff. So to say that if you have any credit card debts whatsoever, you're irresponsible and you're a bad parent and you're this and that, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. Should you like put in 10, 20% of your budget, 10, 20% of your earnings into this? Should you skip the employer match? Should you not at least make your minimum payments? Like there's a whole lot of different things going on, but I'm not universally saying that you're not allowed to do any of this, because there is something to be said about like enjoying life too. A lot of us, I made a video at one point, probably a couple of years ago on my channel called Analysis Paralysis. And if your sole goal is making money, it is very silly to spend 3 hours analyzing the decision on should I buy this $100 booster box, one of them. Because if you think about that, if you're putting 3 hours in solely to make money and you're deciding whether to buy a box for 100 because it might go down to 80 or it might go up to 150, you're doing it wrong. But if those 3 hours were you learning things and having fun and talking with friends? That's a different equation because that's entertainment. So if you're doing this some part entertainment along with your investments, the whole equation changes. So I'm not trying to tell anyone how to spend their money. I basically use my channel to say what I do and why I do it. And then if you want to consume that content, it's there. If you don't, that's fine. But like, consume my content if you want to. Consume Rob's, consume a bunch of other people's, and then use those as just like, here's what these guys are doing. I like that bit from Dan. I like that bit from Rob, and I'm gonna make it my own. I'm gonna do my own thing. Like that. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, and I love that approach from you. I really do. Like, I mean, you bring up a few times, personal finance is finance is personal, and you should be taking little bits from different people. There's a lot of great. This is a good thing right now about this space. I mean, there's lots of great content creators out there, right? And take little bits, see what you think is right, and kind of make up your own mind. I think the problem is when you get people who are slightly more easily influenced. Yeah, you're reading Inep's comment. Yeah, also he's Inep was showing me his like upstairs in his house. He's got all these packages. He's just like a whole room full of stuff he's been buying. JB, sup you? I haven't censored this one. Hard thing is exit strategy. This is a good one, actually. So Tyler's bringing up this exit strategy with investing. I'm guessing you're saying it in Pokemon. I found struggles to sell things at market value that don't eat up profit margin with eBay fees or people offering 70% to then resell. So actually, this is something I did want to get into. So I think it's a good point here. I mean, you have an easy way to get rid of product, right? And I mean, you're the guy that buys the stuff at whatever 70, 80%, whatever you're buying at. Yeah. So what do you say to the guys that are sitting on these boxes and they're seeing like, okay, I've got like a 300% gain, but now I got to lose 30% of the value of it. What's the exit strategy plan?
Yeah, one thing I've been getting more and more lately, like this year especially, because I've been a bit more vocal about I'm buying this for 80, 85%. For a short window, I was actually buying certain specific things at 90% because I was going to buy them from the open market anyway. So it's like, if I'm willing to pay 100%, absolutely I'll pay 90% as well. But one thing that I'm more frequently seeing is people reach out to me via email or DM, whatever, and they have these lists and it totals out to 10 grand, 20 grand. And on paper, it's probably great.
Yeah.
But it's like individual Pokemon Center ETBs and it's individual lower mid-end singles. Like most of what I buy, 80% is usually sealed cases of booster boxes, occasionally sealed cases of ETBs, but I don't like them nearly as much, and higher end boxes. I mostly like to buy individual items for sealed 500 plus. So 500, you're talking, I'll buy any sealed modern like booster case, but individual boxes, I don't really want them unless they're like Sun and Moon era, unless they're like the select few Sword and Shield era. I guess the one Sword and Shield era, Evolving Skies. So yeah, a lot of people end up finding out like, I'm not going to get that number at the bottom of my spreadsheet that is all the TCG player prices multiplied out. They're going to need to do a little more work. They're going to need to do a little more work. And yeah, depending on what you have, though, like I've also had a lot of successful transactions, too. I've had a lot of people that reached out to me and they shipped it to me and then I paid PayPal friends and family. Not going to go into all of that, but no tax documents generated. And I've seen a lot of people. I've been the exit plan for a lot of people that like did really, really well too. I mean, I've bought my fair share of $3,500 Evolving Skies booster cases from people that bought them for $600 to $800, $1,000, whatever. So I've seen all sides of it for sure.
Do you think that, so someone like Tyler, for example, like asking this question, let's say Tyler doesn't have any kind of online presence, not an eBay seller, doesn't have an Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to call it. Do you think do you think it's important that someone has a presence like that, whether it's a faceless account or an account with a face, like references? Is that going to help them down the road, perhaps to maximize their gains?
I mean, me personally, one of my favorite parts about the whole space is like the people. So I would always encourage people to like put themselves out there, create an Instagram, create whatever, get in Discord. But I don't think you need to either. Like, and that's some of that I will caution. I'm someone who will always give the disclaimers and pump the brakes when needed. Like right now I'm buying a lot of things at 80+%. And That could go away though. Like if the market were to change, if the market were to get less liquid, if the prices were to start going down and liquidity going down, my numbers could change. It could go to 70%. It could go to 60%. There are times historically where the numbers were lower, but when everyone wants it, everyone wants it. And when nobody does, nobody does. So those numbers could change. But one thing I always say too is like, I'm here. A lot of times I'll leave the thing with like, I'm here at 80%. Go check your local LGS. Go message around, see if you have some local streamer, some local. There are times that I offer someone 80% on a massive sealed $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 collection, and then they don't come back. Presumably, well, sometimes they probably hold it. Presumably, sometimes though they sell it to someone else who paid 85. Like there could be, and if I know, if someone hits me up and they just have things that aren't ideal for me, I always try to send you to someone who will pay more, who will want that stuff. So I can't always find someone for everyone, but I do my best.
I love that. Such great karma as well. Such great karma. So there's some lies. I'm sorry, some lies. I don't know if they're true or not, but there's some rumors circulating around the chat about you being fired from your job instead of quitting. I'm guessing those are from your friends.
That's Brad and Mr. Walrus. Yes.
Pogi-san, absolutely lovely person here. Dan paid off his mortgage by selling Evo XY boxes. Well, good for you, Dan.
Yeah, I have a couple videos that I've kind of teased on my channel that I will go back into the archives to kind of document better. But one video that I've teased a couple times now is the comparison between like Evolving Skies and Evolutions. And it's always interesting to hear the commentary and hear people talking about how obvious everything was. And it's like, well, the fact that it was obvious, it's like, one thing Alex says, Nostalgianomics, what color is your Lamborghini? Like, I actually did. It's kind of exaggerating a little bit. I honestly don't remember how much of it was Evolutions. But in 2021, I paid off a 15-year mortgage 1 year into it. I paid it just before the 1 year anniversary of me getting my mortgage. And a lot of that was Evolutions cases, and a lot of it was just other like WotC stuff, former collection stuff that I had.
I love that.
But,
yeah, I love that. I remember you talking about your Lamborghini as well. What color did you choose?
Yeah, I have a Kia Carnival actually, a nice gray Kia Carnival.
Yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah, I don't know. I was a financial advisor at a bank for a while, and you know, the guys that would pull up in the nice cars always had loads of friggin' debt. It was the little old ladies or the dude that was dressed like a friggin' hobo that had friggin' 100 grand sitting in his checking account. Like,
and I'm usually that guy dressed like a hobo. I will say quickly on Joshua Perez's comment that you had up there. Depending, like, I will shout out myself, my own consignment service, my own, like, I buy stuff all the time. James, Z&G Emporium. I can't touch his rates for eBay. There are great businesses in the hobby, in the industry, that will sell your stuff for you. And there are so many people, like there are a lot of people like myself, like Old School Pokemon, TCA Gaming, Z&G Emporium. There are a lot of like names out there in the space. There's a lot of whales though that are way down below the surface that sell through me, that sell through James, that sell through Rusty, sell through Nick. And you don't need a name. You don't need a brand. There are a lot of businesses out there that have business at a level with these various companies that they're able to actually sell your stuff for you at or near what you would do it for yourself. It's a great thing. And when I buy stuff, one thing that I require when I buy stuff, you don't need a rep, but you need to trust me, because I have people like, except for like two things that I offer. I will pay you up front. I will buy it from you via PayPal, like goods and services, so that I'm protected. I buy it with a credit card. I buy it through PayPal. If someone sends me an empty box, I have recourse to get my money back, because they have no rep. They have no name, no whatever. But another thing that I do is people will send to me up front based on my trust, based on like, and I actually have insurance where as long as you put signature on the package, if I'm buying 10 grand from you and it gets lost in the mail, like fully covered, as long as you're shipping it to my PO box with signature. So you don't need a rep. You ship to me. I get and I confirm the goods, and then I pay you out. I pay you out ACH, check, friends and family, whatever. So that's kind of different from like 10 years ago when I first started in the hobby. A lot of that wasn't around, but so many of these new consigning services, so many of these new businesses are able to be your exit plan without you having that name, that brand, that known anything. Because I'm telling you, like, I will accept, James will accept. James has a PO box publicly posted on his website. He will accept cards from anyone. I mean, if they're PSA, CGC, BGS graded, he'll sell them right on eBay. Boom, he'll pay you out some of the highest rates in the whole industry after they sell at auction.
I love it. I love
it.
I'm watching chat as well. There's this, I think someone else. His wife works 70-hour work week. Dan Curtis.
One thing on my channel that I constantly talk about is having a sugar mama. I think it's a huge part of success in the hobby. I have a wife who has she's a teacher, so she has that stable 9-to-5 job. She has the insurance, all that stuff. Yeah. Like I'm not too proud to say the benefits that I have, the advantages that I have due to my situation. So yeah, I will always shout out the sugar mamas in the hobby that allow their husbands to husbands or wives to go and do their thing in their Pokemon businesses.
It's a partnership, man. It's a partnership. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, we'll get to the Henny shots later. Inept, I'm clipping and showing my wife so she starts collecting like me, then nobody can oppose me. Yeah, maybe. My wife's not is your wife into the hobby at all? My wife is just not. She supports, but she's just not. It's not her thing, right? She's like, is your wife into it at all?
No, like she's supportive. She lets me do my thing. I started in 2014, so we had been dating since 2010. So she didn't know what she was getting into, but we didn't get married till 2015. So she did know that it was a thing, didn't know how far it would go 10 years later, but she did know it was a thing. It was on her radar at least by 2015 when we got married. And she's always been cool with it, always supported me in whatever crazy thing that I've had going on. And she, like, we just had my son's birthday party this past Sunday, and we did Pokemon theme. She ordered some like Pokemon cake. She got all the Pokemon decorations. We used a bunch of my own stuff that I had for Pokemon decorations. So,
did you wait until you were married to tell us? So like, hey, by the way, like I know things have been going great, but like I really like Pokemon. Like, did you wait until there was like a really solid patch? Or
I mean, we were living together, so like she knew. I'm trying to think. 2015, it wasn't very deep though, but she knew, like, when I put $5,000 into it, technically it was my money, it was her money. Yeah. I know some people, like, people do finances differently. Again, personal finance is personal, but we're one of those married couples that, like, we have our money. Some people do like our money, my account, your account. We have our money only. So at the time that we were living together, 2014, when I got back in, I was taking $5,000 from my money, but it was on its way to becoming our money. So she would have known that I, like, hey, I'm going to throw $5,000 into like Pokemon, my little hobby, side hustle, collection, whatever you want to call it.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, my dad with my mom, my dad has an obsession with buses. He likes public transport. That's his thing. It's not the coolest hobby to be into, I'll be honest. And he waited until they were married to tell her that he had this obsession. Hey, Kuyon, good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Raising it too. And Dan, so you've talked a little bit about, like, most recently, there's going to be, in your opinion, a Scarlet and Violet set that goes to, I think you said $300 within a year. Is it Twilight Masquerade?
See, I didn't pick one specifically.
I know.
So
well, you must have been thinking, like, so there's got to be one, but
all the context around that clip was like, nobody knows. I don't know. Your favorite YouTuber doesn't know. Nobody knows. But once it happens, it will have been painfully obvious. Like, once it happens, obviously this set did it. And that was a pretty ballsy speculation, I guess. Like 300 within a year for a Scarlet and Violet set, that will be surprising. But it wouldn't be overly surprising because the crazy things that are going on. I guess we'll see. I think I put it in my calendar a year out to go back and revisit that and see if I was right or wrong.
I don't think you're going to be wrong, man. I don't think you're going to be wrong. I don't know if it'll be Twilight Masquerade, but we'll see here. Yeah, so Mr. Walrus makes a good point here about just the benefits of going with consignment. Super easy. I mean, it's an exchange of time, right? I mean, you're doing these things. I mean, I'm going to get some other comments here, but I mean, what does your day-to-day consist of? I mean, you know, you make videos, you put up a video or two every week. What does the day-to-day look like for you?
Yeah, it's I mean, I do the main aspects of my business are the buying and selling. I do, like, James is more of just consignment strictly. I think he does minimal buying and selling, but he more like takes in cards, and I do consignments as well. So I take in some amount of cards, photographs, listings, answering messages, all the normal eBay stuff. I do a little bit of buying raw and grading. So TCG Player, various websites, looking, hey, are there any deals out there? Taking calls from my distributors, checking out my allocation, seeing which products I want to order. And then there are like some bigger picture, longer term things. One thing that's happening more and more is like more meetings, more calls. I'm doing business at a level where I'm talking with eBay. I'm talking with PWCC, now Fanatics. But yeah, overall, like the majority of it is sourcing, listing, shipping, and then customer service too. And then all the content side is its own thing.
So I do want to touch on content a little bit. There's some comments up here, but I just want to stick on this subject before we move on. So Michael's asking, what happens if you sell something through consignment, but the buyer claims the item is counterfeit, damaged? Have you dealt with scam buyers before? This is a good question.
Yes, so that's a great thing about consignment services. My biggest aspect of my consignment used to be eBay Vault, which unfortunately we don't have anymore. And I think in Canada you guys never got it, so unfortunately you didn't get a taste of that sweet thing. But it used to be a service where basically you would ship it to the eBay Vault, and then you would list it. You would price it, but they would like scan it. They would create the listing, and then you would just do the title and the price. They would do the fulfillment though. So they acted as a trusted middleman. Basically, like if I sent my card to the eBay Vault, they would verify. If you bought it from me through the eBay Vault, you would have no way to return the card because they verified the fact that it was genuine, legitimate. It matched the description that they made. But with eBay, like say I sell a $200 card for a consignor. If that card gets paid, the Wednesday after I'm paid, I pay you. Regardless what happens down the line, there are times where people claim, oh, they got an empty box, it was damaged, they return it, whatever happens, I own that. Part of what I charge, part of what James charges, factors in the amount of loss, factors in the amount of risk inherent to the process. So yeah, like if you consign through whoever it is, myself, James, there might be different services out there that like if it gets returned down the line, they come back to you for money. But I know I can speak for myself and James. Once it sells and is paid, we pay you, and then we own all the risk down the line. So that's one thing. And same thing with like selling to me. So some people will say, oh, I went into my LGS and they only offered me 65%, 60%, 70%, like whatever the number is. It's like they offered you that. They didn't make you sell it for that. I think sometimes people get really worked up. It's like they undervalue the no risk transaction that is being presented to them. It's like, hey, here's cash. You can take it or you can not take it. But like, how do you get mad at that? How do you get mad at someone giving you the option? So like, here's a stack of cash, and the consignment services are, and sometimes there are items that are unpaid and they have to be relisted. And obviously, if we don't get paid, we can't pay you. If someone shows the auction up to $5,000 and it was $1,000 card, we're not going to pay you a fake thing that didn't get finished. But once it gets paid and finalized, then yeah, you get paid out, and the risk is owned by the consignee or consignor.
I think that's great as well. I mean, so I think a lot of people as well, they get very focused on, hey, what if the scammers? Like, what if this terrible thing happens? Like, how often does that happen to you? Like, how often do you get guys that say, hey, empty package, like this didn't show up, like this is fake product? How often does it actually happen?
I was just going to pull up my eBay really quickly. I forget exactly how many transactions I have. I can count on one hand how many times I've been like straight up scammed. So I have 22,000 feedback. I think I've had over 60,000 transactions. And I can count on one hand. I've had to fill out affidavits with like the police department because I've had people genuinely like empty box scam me for hundreds of dollars, $1,000. But that is the 1% of the 1% of bad transactions. Very, very exceedingly rare. It's one of those things though, where like If you are that unlucky individual, like I sell hundreds or thousands of items, thousands of items a year, hundreds of items a month, whatever duration you want to go over. If you only sell one item a year, 2 items a year, if you're just that unlucky that you get that 1%, 0.1% bad buyer, it hurts a lot more. So that's where like cash in hand can be a bigger thing. Like that's where 70, 80% or just consigning, let James own the risk, let me own the risk. But yeah, overall, and eBay does have things in place, the authenticity guarantee. So the way authenticity guarantee works is eBay Vault is no longer a thing, but you ship to the authenticator and they verify it. Like I have a slab right here in front of me. So I have a decent slab in front of me. Poncho Magikarp. It's like a $2,000 card. If I sell this card on eBay, I don't ship it to the buyer most times. If they have a PO box, certain times it doesn't go through authentication and then the risk is there. But usually I will ship this actually to PSA and they authenticate it. They serve as the authenticator for eBay and then they ultimately ship it to the buyer. So I'm covered because there was a trusted middleman in between who verified that one, I didn't send them this random $10 card.
Yeah.
I actually sent them this $2,000 card. And then on the way back, say something happens and say they return it. Say I allow returns and they decide to return it. They don't ship this back to me. They ship it back to the authenticator. So the empty box thing just can't happen anymore. There is still risk of like USPS, FedEx, UPS losing a package. I'm insured for all that stuff. So I'm a business. I pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month to be fully covered, fully insured across all those like scenarios.
Yeah, very important to make sure you're secured. Some stake here as well. Good evening, folks. 2 of the greatest right here. Oh yeah, what a treat. Yeah, 2 of the greatest indeed. I've been around 5 minutes, man. This guy's friggin' a legend. Like I'm very happy that he agreed to come on my channel. By the way, did you wire me the money for today? I'm
very glad you asked to have me on. Having a good time.
Thank you. Good question, Michael. I was wondering the same. So I didn't read this before I put it up. I assume the consignor takes care of buyer fraud claims. Yeah, so you can.
Yep.
Good. Can I consign my old car? Evo's a bit of a jokester. PWCC. I've sold a lot through PWCC. Is it true? I've never sold through PWCC. They don't have any fees. Is that correct? They just make the money on marketing or ads, or what? How does that work?
No, so I'm not a big fan of this because it just Brad loves when I use this word obfuscation. They kind of obfuscate how the whole scenario works because what they do is you get 100% of the sale when you sell a card through PWCC, but they don't mention the fact that they have a 20% buyer's premium. So say the item sells for that, they call it the hammer price. Say the hammer price is $1,000. The buyer pays $1,200.
What?
So you get the full 1,000, and then I forget what the public rates are. I know what my rates are, but the public rates, they will pay you more than 100% of what hammer is, not what of the total buyer price is. It's very standard in the industry, like Heritage, Golden, PWCC. A lot of places will do hammer price and then a buyer's premium paid on top. Usually, for the higher value stuff, they will pay you some like 105, 110% of hammer. But the way that I do it, I actually do consignments. I have like a dealer rate with PWCC, and I pay lower fees due to the volume that I do. So every card that you sell through me on PWCC, which as of today, actually, it just switched over to, it's called Fanatics now. So PWCC is no more, actually. It's called Fanatics Collect. But every item that sells above $100, I will net you out more than you would get selling through Fanatics Collect by yourself, because I have such good rates with them that I'm able to offer a higher price.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's a lot of extra money.
Yeah.
Working nights plays RuneScape all night. Working late tonight, honey. I love that. I love that you deal with the buyer's risk. Yeah, there seems to be a hot topic for people. People want to get rid of stuff they want to consign, but they don't want to have the risk. This makes sense. Yeah. Good afternoon. Family fun with Jess. Yeah, awesome. And some more stuff from Mr. Walrus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, ships poorly and expensive. This is a good point, actually. You don't need supply to consign to your store. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm just going through some comments. I don't want, there's been quite a few. I don't want to miss anyone. Great art on the walls as well. Good stuff. Can you help Dan go viral? I don't know, man. I've only had a couple of things that went viral on Instagram, so I'm the wrong guy to talk to.
I'll never go viral. I'm not built for it.
It's a shame. I think your content's some of the crap that goes viral, man. So actually, on that subject, the other day, so I found this thing about Crocs. They're going to Pokemon Crocs, right? It's just there's an image of 4 Crocs, like Charizard, Gengar, Snorlax, Jigglypuff. And so I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'll make a reel about it. 100,000 views. There's a 3-second reel about Crocs. People are like, where can I get these Crocs? It's like, I make like a really good reel. I'm like, okay, it's like a minute long. There's some value in it. It's like, 10,000 views, like on Instagram, not YouTube, on Instagram. And it's like, wow. Oh, geez, this is kind of stupid. Like, but a 3-second reel of a chick with her boobs out blinking is like 1 million views. Aloha from Hawaii. Never did buy from Ketchum. Would I buy bigger stuff or start off small? I don't know. Whatever you want to collect, man. I'm sure that.
Yeah, I sell stuff all the way down to I have some Metazoo singles that are probably $1.19, which is a little dark, but all the way up to very, very high end, high 5-figure, low 6-figure stuff that I've sold. But no pressure. I mean, check what's available on the market. My stuff's there if you want it. If you don't want it, that's fine too.
I can send you my cards to sell. I get more. Dan is the man. He needs to go viral. Respect both you dudes. Helping me and my dad a lot. You heroes. You're the real hero. Family fun. Flat with Jess. I want to talk a little bit about content creation because I do feel that's a cool topic. I think a lot of people here that are watching either have stores or do some content for themselves for whatever reasons. So, what made you want to do the YouTube thing? What made you want to get into that?
Yeah, so the genesis of my YouTube, actually, if you go all the way back, my first video was actually a podcast with a close friend, and I'm still doing that podcast today, 3.5 years later. So I'm glad that Nick reached out. Actually, another joke on my channel is that Nick actually wanted to do a podcast. I think he asked 2 people before he asked me, so I was only his 3rd choice, but like, that's just the way that it worked out, and I'm glad the other people said no because I said yes, and that was the rest was history. But I might have started my own YouTube even if he hadn't prompted me into it, because I'd done like appearances on other people's channels, some other friends in the hobby, Radar and Pokenomics, before I had my own channel, and I had a blast. We did some content, some just talking hobby with people. I've been a forum guy, I've been a Discord guy, and YouTube was just natural. I originally started my Instagram a little bit prior to my YouTube, and that was kind of just documenting my journey. It's like I just want to keep a record of where I've been and kind of be able to see it evolve over time. I wish I had gone into it earlier. So if anyone out there listening is like thinking about starting that Instagram, thinking about starting that YouTube, go for it. Don't wait. The amount of things that I did pre-YouTube is like, oh, it's painful to think of how much content I could have had out there. Not that I would have been, I'm not trying to say I would have had 1 million subs or this or that. I probably would have had like 10,000 instead of 5,000 with an additional like 7 years. But I opened one of every booster box. I opened a Skyridge booster box personally. Ooh, I opened EX Team Rocket Returns. That was one of my original goals when I got back into the hobby. I thought Pokemon was dead. When I got back in 2014 and I learned that they released 4 sets every year that I was gone, my first goal was I want a piece of that. I want to open every box. And I did it. And I didn't document it anywhere except for a little bit on E4 here and there. But yeah, I wish I had created a channel earlier because the amount of stuff I could have had on there would have been crazy.
No, I hear that a lot, man. I really do. And look, I mean, hey, the best time to plant a tree is right now, right? So, like, yeah. So, second best time to plant a tree. First is like 20 years ago. But 20 years, no, yeah. It's a really good point, man. Like, I mean, if you're sitting on the fence and you're thinking, hey, no one's gonna watch it, or I'm worried about no one, liking it, or what they might say. Like, just no one gives a shit, man. Just go make it. Just go make your stuff, man. Like some of those box breaks as well. Before box breaks were really a thing. Like, oh man, like this huge views, and like there's none of this like PokeRev, like shielding the cards, or like, oh my god, like this is some dude fucking opening the stuff on his kitchen table. Like, Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that stuff. I love going back and watching those old ones, and then the comments like, "Oh, we got something to tell you, man. These cards are worth quite a bit now." I'm going back through the comments here. So, what's your view of building binders to collect?
I'm very excited for the binder that my son just started. The whole Pokédex thing. Growing up, I had a Pokédex binder going. I remember constantly being back and forth between like, I want to do base, jungle, fossil, but then no, I want the entire Pokédex. So I think I probably built my same cards that I have. I built them as a Pokédex, and then I put them back into the sets. And then I put them as a Pokédex, and I couldn't decide which one I liked. But whichever one you enjoy the most, like go do it. Binders are my favorite way still. I grade so many cards these days. My favorite way to consume, to enjoy, to view the cards is still binders.
Yeah, there's something about just cracking it open. And some sets, like you want to do the whole thing, but other sets, like, especially the modern ones, like the hollow, the reverse hollow, the regular one, whatever. Like there's a lot, go with what you like and what you enjoy. Yep. Will you ever sell on your own site instead of eBay? I think it's tongue in cheek. Do you like the fees?
I've done a little bit on my own website with like box breaks through YouTube. But one thing that I have said all the time is the fees are reasonable. For those fees, they're doing all your marketing. You talked about Brian Pokémon. Mm-hmm. He mentioned before in various live streams, various videos, he spends like $5 grand a month on SEO and on Google ads and YouTube ads and all these different things. I don't do any of that. I occasionally will throw a 2 or 3% promotion on some cards on eBay. But I pay 12%, 13%. If I did it on my own website, it would only be 3%. But eBay handles a lot of compliance stuff too. Like they handle sales tax, they handle all that stuff, and not just eBay either. If you sell with Heritage, if you sell with Golden, if you sell with PWCC, Fanatics, a lot of these websites they do a lot more than you realize. People think like, oh, why don't I just sell on Facebook? Why don't I just sell on Instagram? When I post on Instagram, I have 5,000 followers. How many actually see when I make a story? 100, 300, 500? When I post on eBay, there are millions of registered users. You can actually see how many impressions you have. Like I know James, talking a lot about James tonight. He better thank me for all the free advertisement. Maybe you'll have to have him on here some night. But
yeah.
He gets like 1 million impressions a month. I get hundreds of thousands of impressions a month. And yeah, like you're getting something for those fees. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't consider it, but there's a lot there that you're getting.
No, 100%. I mean, yeah, a lot of people as well. I don't know. I've sold quite a, like, for me, I sell a lot in marketplace. I don't like if I'm going to sell stuff for me a lot. Like for you, it'd be nothing, right? Like a few cards here or there, a few boxes. But like as soon as you put something up, it's like, oh yeah, I'll offer you like 70% of what you're asking for, or like 50%. Yeah. You get stink bids, and you got to deal with people, right? So there's all that stuff to consider as well, which is important. So I want to come back to some of these comments, but I do want to stay on content creation just for a little bit longer. So I guess I've got 2 questions. First of all, what is your approach to the content creation? Like, how do you decide, hey, this is what I want to do? Do you plan it out for a few months or for a year, or just like, hey, like every week I'm going to think of what I want to do for my content and what I'm going to enjoy or what's going to bring value? Like, what's the approach?
I have like a living Google Doc of, it's probably like 50 pages long. At some point, I need to go through and just purge it because occasionally I have a shower thought. I have an idea while I'm mowing my lawn, and I'll just open it up and punch it in there. I don't always get to them, but yeah, usually it's like, what do I feel like I want to say, or what do I feel like people want to hear or need to hear? Sometimes, even though I know it's not going to be a popular video, I think sometimes you can get sucked in to like, oh, that video was only 7 out of 10. That video was only 8 out of 10. I need a 1 out of 10. I need a 2 out of 10. I need that. I need that dopamine hit from like the fireworks show that YouTube puts on for you in your app when you get the 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't concern myself much with that. I don't concern myself much with, oh, 3 months ago I had 200 new subs in the past 30 days. Today it's only 50 or 60 or whatever it is. I see it. I definitely see it. But overall, I just try to say, what am I doing? I'm documenting my journey. Is there some major change going on in my business, in my overall thinking on the market that I want to convey to people? Or I'm not a news channel at all. So I'm down to a schedule. Over a year now, I've been on this set schedule where I do one video every Monday. I do a couple shorts a week from my longer form content, but I'm live on my channel one week, and then the next week I have Poke Flips with my co-host Nick. So I'm live every week between my channel and my podcast channel. So yeah, it whatever I feel like needs to be talked about or I want to talk about, I just talk about, regardless of the views that it will get. And that is evidenced by the fact that I still make MetaZoo videos. I still make personal finance videos. And if I was solely worried about, I would just do top 10 things to buy. This is the most money I made. Like, yeah, I could make those videos too, but like, I just don't enjoy them. A couple times a year, maybe I'll throw them out there, but I just can't.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I've never done one of those like buy it now videos. It's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, hey, maybe I'm doing myself a disservice. Maybe I could get loads of views on that. But like, I don't know. And shower thoughts, I can totally relate to shower thoughts. Like,
yeah,
shower thoughts. What advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
I actually got this DM from SDC, so I already answered him there. I'll let you go first here because I have my answer, which I can share here if you'd like. But
oh, you want to ask me? You want to ask me what to my 17-year-old self would be buy Bitcoin? But I saw a documentary on BBC One about Bitcoin with some losers like who were like selling their coins for like £100 or whatever, and they were like doing heroin and stuff. It was a really weird documentary. And I was just like, yeah, I should learn how to do that. And then just kind of forgot about it. Yeah. No, I mean, life advice would just be to, it's the same advice old people give you that you never fucking listen to, which is it goes really fast and enjoy it and make the most of it. And you're like, oh yeah, fuck off, man. Like, you know, go away. Like that's what people say and you never appreciate it. Youth is wasted on the young, but go ahead.
Yeah, I forget exactly the way that I worded it, but I did answer him this on Instagram. Something along like, just be yourself. Like, do what you want to do, enjoy what you want to enjoy. Don't 17 years old, you're still in high school, you're somewhere in there. A lot of people worry so much about what other people think. And I think a lot of people don't, some people don't ever break free of that, sadly. Some people live their whole lives under that pressure, under that weight, and they just can't be their true, authentic selves. And the sooner you realize what other people think doesn't matter, like your loved ones, your wife, your kid, that matters. Like, worry about that and make sure. But what random classmates, what random coworkers think and say, it's like, who cares? Just do what brings you happiness. And Pat Flynn, Deep Pocket Monster, hurt people. If someone out there is bullying you for liking Pokemon, it's like they have a sad life. And that goes to content creation, looping back to what we just talked about. You're going to get some amount of hateful comments. You're going to get some amount of like, that guy's voice is weird. That guy is ugly. That guy's this or that. That guy's bald. James and myself, we lean into it. It's a fact. I mean, so it's just like, don't let that stuff bring you down. Be yourself.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's such good advice. Yeah, I love the funny comments, man. I'm so glad you brought that up because on your palette video, one guy was like, he may be in the chat, maybe not. He's like, you know what? You really haven't protected that from mice, something like that, right? You remember this comment where he's like, you got to wrap it up. There's going to be some rodents, and you're like, dude, like, it's going to be in a facility. Everything's going to be fine. Like,
yeah.
He's like, no, you got to wrap it up in aluminum. He loves free Eric. Has a website.
He loves the fees. The fees. Yeah.
The fees there. Golden King Collectibles Netflix series was an interesting lens. I haven't seen it. Have you seen that?
I watched season 1. Season 2 came out maybe like a month ago now, and I still haven't seen it. I'm actually gonna write it down on my notepad to watch it soon.
Dan was the third choice.
Yeah, for the podcast.
Dan's beard is better than Rev's. Rev's beard is actually fake. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a big thing, and Possum Bud did something about it. It's not it's not a real. You got to like plugs or whatever. So, can you confirm Dan is holding Nick hostage on a weekly basis? I would have gone viral if only I started soon. A little Scooby Doo for you there as well. Man, there's some good comments here. I like this. Yeah. Apple with Pokeballs in the background. How much do they charge? Oh, how much do they charge you for pictures at conventions, Dan? Are you on the like Jason Page? Like, if it's a common card, it's $50. If it's a rare one, I'll give you like $100 deal.
So I'm very tall. I'm 6'4", almost 6'5". I always say, "Come find me." I stand out. I'm one of the tallest ones there. Come find me. Come say hi. I am very open. I will take a picture. I will sign something for free. Always for free. Very accessible.
I love that. Family fun with Jess is like, sorry, you keep probably reading this faster than I am. This is a good question actually, and leads us into a good segue here about basically like what's going to be the best thing to invest in right now.
Yeah, I think there are certain cards already, as you say. Certain cards like a near mint single will be like a PSA 9 will be less than the near mint single. So there are certain cards where they're being graded in excess of what the demand is. There are times where, I mean, some obscure like thing, you might be able to find a PSA 10 where you're only paying a $5 or $10 premium to what the card is raw, or maybe the same price. Do I think that will be like a universal thing? I don't think so. I think for the most part, like the 10s will have some amount of premium. I think the premium will decline if the price, if the pops go too high on certain things. Like you've got a lot of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 pops lately in these modern cards, but as of now, they're still holding a decent premium. But the 9s, to me personally, when a card grades 60, 70, 80% PSA 10 rate, the fact that 9s hold any premium is kind of surprising to me. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they still do when I think personally they shouldn't. And I think that might be more of a common thing moving ahead in the future. PSA is grading 1 million cards a month across everything. Not 1 million Pokemon cards a month, but 1 million cards a month approximately. So 10 years from now, we're going to have an additional 100 million cards encapsulated with PSA. I think unless it's a 10, it's going to be bust a lot of times.
Do you think PSA populations matter as much for modern as they do for vintage cards?
One very scary thing that I hear is that supply doesn't matter. Pops don't matter. Yes, they do. They always matter. What matters is the ratio of demand to supply. Obviously, Moonbryon, 13,000, 14,000 PSA 10s, whatever it's at. Clearly, the demand today is high enough for that to be worth what a lot of PSA 9 and PSA 10 first edition WotC Hollows are. Will that be the case 10, 20, 30 years from now? I don't know. You don't know. People's favorite YouTubers don't know, but it will be obvious in hindsight. That's the thing I always say. I think certain cards are inherently better than others, better in air quotes, because it's still subjective to some extent. But yeah, it will matter. It will matter 20 years from now. And do you care? It all depends on how you're interacting with the space. If you have $1,300, $1,100, whatever the Moonbryon goes for, and you would rather have a Moonbryon instead, buy it. Do I think it's a good investment? No, not really. Do I think an $1,100, I'm trying to think what would be like $1,100, like a PSA 9 base first edition? I think a lot of those non-Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, the big three are more than that. But I think for $1,100, you can get a lot of PSA 9. Like you could probably get like a PSA 9 base first Poliwrath. I know that's James, Z&G Emporium's favorite Pokemon, so I'll have to shout that one out. For maybe under $1,100, you could get that. I think in a lot of ways that's a better card than the Moonbryon, but clearly the demand's not the same. But over time, though, it will matter that there are that many. And one way that I'll demonstrate that there's that many, if there were only 1,000, the Moonbryon would be worth a lot more, theoretically. Like, pop still matters, supply still matters. The demand is significantly higher than what they are for vintage, due to the pops only being hundreds or maybe double digits on a lot of the vintage stuff. But will the demand be the same for and Moonbryon's just one card? Maybe it will be for Moonbryon, but will it be for Gengar, Blaziken, Mew, all these different cards? We'll see. But in two alternate universes where one there's 1,000 and one there's 10,000, obviously that matters. That makes a huge difference.
No, I love that. I love that. I love that take. Brad says he's seen you dismiss fans. You went totally Hollywood.
Yeah.
Really
Brad's got all
terrible.
these stories.
I mean, celebrities need a life too.
Never. Always come say hi.
I accidentally made Dan Menazu promo more rare. I lost it in the move.
Yeah, James's wife bought him one for part of his Christmas present. She bought him one of my Mezu promos, which had to be his favorite present for the year.
This man's lawn is the most. I'm surprised you don't have a service like friggin' cutting this for you.
Nope, I'm just a humble guy who still mows his own lawn.
Accidentally went directly into the trash. It's by breaking the all-time highs. Damn promo stagnant dead money.
I know the S&P 500 is like 20% year to date.
Just wait till Trump's back. I'll get them in the comments.
I know I've been trying to keep up. I'm not doing great.
It's hard. It's hard. I try and give a balance. So I'm like, I want to stay engaged in the chat. I don't want to be the guy that's just scrolling through the comments. But I appreciate everyone who comes out and watches, and I want to make sure they get some time. It's cool for some people, they get their comment pinned, and I think that's nice to do. I want to appreciate people. I am a gorgeous man. Okay. Bully more people. Okay, that's probably not.
Ernesto would tell himself to bully more people. I did see that clip. Someone talked about MetaZoo like surpassing Pokemon in Magic, and clearly MetaZoo is bankrupt as of today. So that didn't pan out.
Is it like? I mean, they're not making any more of it, right? Like, so. I mean, isn't that the best thing that can happen for it? Or?
Yeah, they're in bankruptcy and they're for sale. So maybe someone will buy it. Maybe someone will revive it, but we'll see.
Maybe James will buy them. See what?
Maybe.
I love the Averages brace. I like to listen to them while I walk my dog. Oh, thank you so much. That's great. Hope you guys enjoy the long walks are one of my favorite things. I rarely get the chance to do long walks alone anymore. I'm usually with my kid. My 2-year-old likes to pick up stones from our neighbor's house and put them in our pockets and then scream about it. Basketball challenge for you next week. Mimic Brew didn't know you were so tall. I wouldn't have said you were 6'4". I mean, you're always sitting down in your videos, but yeah, 6'4", that's good. Yeah, I'm not as tall as you. I'm an inch taller than me.
He says it's all in my shoes. Yeah. Oh man.
So Poke-san here. Let's get back on track here. What does your wife think about Pokemon before you started it full time? I also want to know what Rob's wife. Okay, so you go first. What does your wife think about it?
I did just crack another apple juice or IPA in my case.
I love it.
I'm gonna do my answer. I'll be able to hear your answer, but I'm gonna run to the bathroom after I.
Go for it. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, before I started Pokemon full time, so that was like 2014 to 2021. 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago is when I went full time. She was always fine with it. Like, I have my things, she has her things, and she was never like not respecting of it, not considering of it. I went to Worlds in 2018. I actually went to Worlds when we had like a 1 or 2 month old. I had a lot of friends that I had made online and talked with on the forum over the years, and I really wanted to go, and I had a big collection. I was completing all these goals, and I wanted to buy like trophy cards, and she allowed me to go. She allowed me to go and chase my goals, chase my dreams, whatever. So she's always been extremely supportive. She's never been big into it herself. She's come to some conventions with me. She's helped me vend, and she's actually the vice president of KetchumAllCollectibles Incorporated. So couldn't be more supportive, but she's just not big into it herself personally. So yeah, that's on my side. I'm gonna drop my cam and I'll be right back.
Yeah, you go and Pete. Don't bring the camera with you. Yeah. So so Poke-san, my wife is she's very much like Dan's, very, very supportive of things, and she doesn't really get it, quite honestly. It's not something that she's into. She doesn't enjoy it. If the kids are watching it, like if Madeline's watching it on TV, she'll sit and she'll kind of just do things on her phone. Like, she remembers some of the Pokemon. Like, Madeline will look at the different Pokemon. She's my daughter. And Leanne will be like, oh, yeah, it's that one and that one. So she knows some of like the Gen 1 Pokemon, some of the big ones. But where she's most supportive is with my content. So she helped, especially with Instagram stuff. She helps me film a lot of things. So like that Valentine's reel I did, where going up the stairs with all the packs and the boxes on the stairs for Valentine's Day, as if it's like a romantic thing. Like we actually had a huge fight during that one because I kept seeing her feet in the shot. Like she kept walking up the stairs like 4 or 5 times, like. And when you're trying to walk up the stairs and there's all these rose petals and lights and Pokemon packs on the stairs, it's actually not that easy to walk up the stairs. And so she's trying to go up and she's trying not to get her feet and she's trying to keep it like a smooth shot. And I just was like, we got to do it again. Like we got to run it back. And it's getting super late. The kids are asleep at this point in their beds, and she's worried she's going to wake them up. But she kept doing it. She was a trooper. And yeah, she's very supportive of my content. Let's put it that way. So I think that's you gotta find someone who's supportive. I think that's important. And someone that lets you just do your thing and be you and is willing to help you out. I think that's in a partner anyway. That's just my take. Every relationship is different.
Yeah, you definitely need to find someone who you can be yourself around. One thing I said earlier is like my 17-year-old self. Be yourself. There's definitely depending on your situation. Obviously, if you're in front of kids, you're not gonna, or at least me personally, I don't swear in front of kids. Like I change myself a little bit depending on who I'm around. Certain family, my grandparents and my kids. The only person I'm 100% my true, authentic, complete self in front of it is like my wife. Absolutely. I will slightly censor myself or change certain things in certain ways in front of other people. But yeah, in a partner, you definitely need to find someone who you can be. And my wife is fully that, sometimes to her dismay, but yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to say, like, you are the first, like, all the guests that I've had on the show, awesome. Thank you very much for coming. You're the first guest to actually drink with me. So I really do appreciate that.
Cheers. Nice. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Cheers indeed. Yeah. And hopefully you guys are able to drink if you're at home. What's going on, ICC? Have the two of you been publicly with any billionaire CEOs recently? I'm guessing this is more directed at you.
It's been a little while. So one of my friends, Pokey Knowledge, his name's John. He had Nat Turner on, the really? CEO of PSA, and I made a comment. It was funny because I was actually on Nat's side. I was agreeing with him. I don't know if you ever heard of like Kurt's Card Care.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't use it myself. I personally think it's going too far. We don't need to go into that whole subject, but I said something like water's a chemical technically. I think PSA could do a lot better to define what is allowed and what is not allowed. So I made this offhand comment like water's a chemical, and he read it and he's like, oh, don't be dumb. He told, like, responding to my comment, he's like, don't be dumb. But it was funny because like I was saying it in the context of like I was on his side. I was saying that you need to make a better defined rule, because people using Kurt's Card Care will say, well, water's a chemical, so I'm going to use this too because it's just another chemical. But like, yeah, it was a whole thing, and it was like Walrus still one of his favorite YouTube moments, clearly.
That's actually an interesting subject as well. I mean, I got some cards I'd like to clean up a little bit. I'm always so worried I'll damage them. I've had very bad experience with Q-tips, let's put it that way. But so I'm guessing you stand very firmly in like keep it as the card is, the condition of the card, like microfiber cloth, okay? Like what are you thinking here?
So I tried doing a live stream on my channel talking about my whole thoughts around it, and it was just the whole thing devolved into Brad G Cards and Mr. Walrus just memeing at me for having been called dumb by a billionaire. But my whole take is, so you have a card. Here's a random card in front of me, Greninja GX Rainbow Rare. Anything that was intended to be on this card in production, don't remove. So if it was intended to be there, you can't remove it. No trimming, obviously. That's an obvious one that everyone is on board with, I think. Anything that wasn't there during production, don't add it. Like I don't know if you'll see it, but there's whitening on the back. You probably maybe you can at the top there. I can't add blue ink to make that better, right? That's obvious. I think everyone agrees you can't ink a card.
Well, what if you scratch up a bunch of energies and you make a little paste and then you fucking like layer it in? That's not okay. You don't want to do that. Like,
yeah. To me, so you can't remove anything that was intended to be there. You can't add anything that wasn't originally there. So wax would be a thing, and you can't add anything that will stay. So if you dab your finger with a little saliva and you wipe off like a dust or a little bit of dirt, I think that's fair play. Technically, PSA says they don't want you to use alcohol because alcohol is a scary chemical. So is saliva. So is water. That was the whole disagreement I had with Nat Turner. But yeah, I think it's fair play if it doesn't remain. Wax, anything where you wax, where you fill in scratches, you're leaving something there that's not supposed to be there. So to me, that's out of bounds. You can't do that. To PSA, that's out of bounds. But like they're too incompetent to make a rule that is succinct and concise and easy for people to understand, and then additionally that they can actually police. The biggest issue they have is they can't police it, because there are several people who have still been talking openly on YouTube. Like, I use this stuff all the time. Kurt himself, he's done it for decades, and he's submitted tens of thousands of cards, and they can't tell. So I don't overly like take a negative against anyone who does use it, but I don't use it myself. That's where I'm at personally. How about you? Have you ever used it?
No, I never have. Never have. I kind of, in some instances, I wish I had. I've always been very lucky with my vintage, but modern, I don't know, for whatever reason, I get fucked over. But I don't grade a ton of cards anymore. But I wanted to ask you about AI. So there's AGS, right? AGS are doing, is that right? The AGS are the ones. So I mean,
AGS is one, yep. And then tag.
Yes. So you can't process out human error, right? That's very difficult to do. But do you see a point where PSA, Beckett, those guys will actually go full-blown AI, and then these things will get picked up because the machine will be able to see it. The Terminator will be able to, Skynet will be like, yeah, we know there's some wax on this, right? So do you think it'll get there eventually?
It's a tough thing because Kurt has already publicly said that he's handled tens of thousands of cards that he's done this stuff with, and so maybe in the future they'll be able to police it better. But what does that do for the 90 million cards they've already graded, or 50, 60, 70, whatever it is? I could see things becoming more automated, but like personally, I think the human element might always be a part of it. As crazy as it sounds, gambling, going all the way back to when we started this thing, gambling is inherent to the whole industry, the whole hobby. Grading is another layer of gambling. Grading is, if you ever had it where a robot would just deem you 10, 10, 10, like every time the card will get a 10, every time the card will get a 9, whatever its true grade is. I don't think people would like that in some ways. Like sometimes you get that lucky 10 that shouldn't have been a 10. Sometimes you get that card that got a 6 and you don't know how it got 6. You crack it out, it gets a 10 again. I think that is just a thing that will always be. Maybe not. I could be wrong here. Maybe Tag takes over. Maybe AGS takes over. I doubt it, though. More likely, one of the bigger companies buys something. And I know PSA bought Genamint. I don't know if anyone in the chat is familiar with that, but they bought Genamint years ago, 2-3 years ago now, I think. Apparently, they use it for like centering. I think they take a digital image of the card, and then they automatically have the centering calculated. But they say that. I've seen cards with 70-30 centering get PSA 10s recently, and supposedly 60-40 is the worst that it can be to get a PSA 10. So the things that they publicly claim clearly aren't all true. Maybe they are, but then user error comes in. Like, even if you had the best robot in the world that never missed on a grade, ultimately you have a human deciding to put a certain label in, and no matter what you do, like there's still humans interacting. So even in this perfect scenario where everything is done by robots, you're still going to get cards that were supposed to be a 7 getting a 10 because someone put the wrong label with the wrong case, or someone shifted the line one card and now 100 cards in a row got encapsulated with the wrong grade or the wrong label or whatever. You're still going to have those mechanical errors, clerical errors.
Maybe one day it'll just be an app. It'll be on your phone. You download it. It's like, hey, we'll take front and back pics, like you deposit in a check, and then here's the grade. I got to pee. I have.
Yep.
What was the question I was going to ask you? Oh, geez, I had it lined up and everything.
I can go on what you just said, though, because I know Tag actually talked about potentially having this like machine that they leave at the LGS, that you go to your local LGS and you submit your cards and they don't get shipped anywhere. They go in the back and they go inside this unit that scans the card front, back, and then actually encapsulates it, labels it all in one. And that's an entirely, I think they call them pods. And I know PokeSun was in here earlier. I think she is, I don't know that she's involved with Tag, but I know that she does a podcast with Jay Peng, who is like a big proponent of Tag. So if she's in here in chat, maybe she can share, maybe she can correct me if I'm wrong there. But
so I get a piece, so I'll leave you with that. And also, if you run out of space on that one, let's say, for example, a company like PSA goes to AI, does that make their new certs, hypothetical new certs, even more valuable or less valuable than old certs? I gotta use the washroom.
Yeah, so I'll continue on the Tag thing, and then I'll touch on the new cert, old cert thing that he just mentioned. So yeah, with Tag, I think they call them pods, and theoretically they would create thousands or tens of thousands of these pods, and they'd go to LGSs all across the country. You'd go into your local LGS and you'd have a stack of cards and you'd just pay $3, $4, $5 a card and they'd be encapsulated with their Tag grade. Shout out the Green Shiz, shout out Java Akuma, a couple of people who have made Tag related videos kind of showing the imperfect nature of their algorithm, of their AI system, whatever it is. I think there's a lot of things to be fixed there because one thing at this point, we don't have perfect AI. AI is still a computer program to some extent that is trained by a human, and there's still some kind of inherent errors. But could we get there? Who knows? Who knows? It could absolutely happen. On the other front, I've been in the hobby for 10 years now. I have been grading PSA cards since the first digit on the cert started with a 1. I've not been around since it started with a 0. Those original Ken Golden specials, the Neo Premium files, the CD promos, Shield On, Shop at Home, Home Shopping Network, whatever. But I've been grading since the late 1 cert, maybe the early 2 cert. Maybe I didn't grade any 1 cert, but maybe the 2 cert. 2014 was my first grading order at PSA. And when it was like 2016, it was the 4 certs are better than the 2 certs. Pokemon skipped the 3 certs largely, so there's not many Pokemon cards out there that are graded in 3 certs, but 4 certs were always better than 2 certs. And then 6 certs were better than 4 certs. And now 8 and 9 certs are better than 6 certs, are better than 4 certs, are better than 2 certs. It's been funny because like people always think moderner, better. I make the joke moderner, betterer. I think to an extent, and it's good for business, to be honest. So I think it's good for business for every company involved, every consigner, every grading company, every selling platform. I think it's better that the newest certs are like the best thing. So everyone just goes along with it. But yeah, it's constantly a thing. Like, is PSA grading harder? The newest certs are the best ones. And so if we ever come to this day that like AI grading started, like right now, one of the most recent cards I graded, the cert number is 92,272,000. Once we get to 100 million, 110, 150 million, maybe someday they'll kick in full AI. And certain people will be purists. Like, I only want a sub 150 million cert that was graded by a human. Mm-hmm. And then there will be some people that are like, no, humans suck. Robots are awesome. And I'm going to be in that camp. I only want something graded by a human.
I don't know. It depends if the Jets won or lost the night before, I guess. I'm trying to get through the comments quick as well. I just cracked another one. I hope you got me more time. I'm really enjoying the chat. Like, I'm really enjoying these apple juice breaks. So
I have multiple more beers down here. I have no curfew. So whenever you want to go till, I'm here.
I gotta drive to Burlington tomorrow. But okay, yeah, this one's 9.5%. This is the triple I didn't even know this was in here. This is going to be a good one. I'll have hairs
There
on my
we
chest
go.
in the morning. Okay, we got here? Ray doesn't like medals. Good for you. Ray said, "Hey, Brian's in here too. Hey, Brian, how you doing, man? Good to see you." PSA magazines are guaranteed. The latest one has a really cool Skyridge e-reader series article in. I don't know. I haven't got it yet. Another goat is in the chat.
It came with the Luffy promo too.
Was it a story or a post? I was like, dude, that's
yeah. Mine got bent.
Well, you can sign yours and you can sell it, as authentic now. So that'll be something.
Yeah.
Maybe get a voice actor to sign. I don't know. Like, I have no idea. Luffy's voice or whatever. The chat isn't familiar with Dan.
It's only my fourth. I only have 3 empties next to me. It's only my fourth.
Joke's in here as well. Hey, Joke, you're gonna get on the show soon too. I'm gonna have him and Colin from Poke Office are gonna pop on.
Nice.
Collecting down sounds more present. Joke, bring it. I'm sorry. I'm just filtering through the chat before we get. I want to make sure I don't miss people. I hate it when I don't like watching streams and it's like they don't acknowledge the comments at all. I think that's important to me.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, there's something going on here with what's going on. One moves faster with the feet. Oh yeah. I have an OnlyFans for my souls. If you guys want to check out, that's how I make most of my money these days. And then I asked that one. What is this? Then, geez, I don't know what's going on here. I think there's some kind of conversation.
Yeah,
let's go to bed and see
that's people from my community.
Vintage is definitely good.
Just ignore them.
It's given on like it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. Vintage is definitely a good buy right now. I just picked up a Rayquaza X PSA 9 from Dragon 240. Such a good buy. Okay, this is actually a really good question to talk about. This is a good segue. So is it going to be vintage collectors will be a small subset of people that kind of fade out over the years, or is this just the newfangled thing? Well, these alternate arts, especially, like the big deal right now. Like, I mean, they're coming down a bit, but they're already up a ton. Like, where is the market headed on this, Dan? What's your take?
It will be obvious once it happens. Everyone will make the videos with the thumbnails with the lines going the proper direction.
It's going crazy.
Yeah. I don't invest in graded really. The only reason I invest what I do in Pokemon is because my folks are gonna love it. The buckets. I've filled my buckets of like paying off all the debts. I have no debt. I have all my tax advantage accounts maxed out, IRAs, 401ks, all that stuff. So I get a little more risky. I get a little more playing around with the investing. Once all that stuff is done, once all my lowest hanging fruit is plucked, I go up the ladder and I pluck that higher fruit of Pokemon investing. But I don't invest in slabs at all. There are certain cards that I sell slower. Like I have certain cards that are a lot more mid high end and I have them priced at or above market. I'm fine with them not selling. But overall, like, I just think there's a lot better things to invest in. If you enjoy this stuff, absolutely spend your money on it. Like, it's perfectly fine. I think relative to other things, like if you gave me 2 cards and I had to pick one, 10-year hold, you had to just hold that. You couldn't buy anything else. A lot of times I would lean more towards like the vintage examples, like especially some of these things. If you get really silly, maybe I'm due for one of those videos again. Just pick like price tiers, like pick 50 grand and pick like 2 examples of what could do that, like a Skyridge booster box or a PSA 9 tropical mega battle, certain trophy card, and then 5 grand, have it be like the Mario Pikachu versus like a PSA 10 base first edition card, and do like these are the ones that I'd choose and this is why. And a lot of times the thing that I choose for like investment purposes is not the one I'd want for business purposes. Usually in the business, I want the one that's more liquid. I want the one that I might not believe in longer term, Like a lot of these, like this thing is water. This thing is as liquid as water. I can post this thing on Instagram. I can take this thing to New Jersey. I can get people fighting over 85, 90, 92, 93% market to take that. But if I had to compare what that thing's going to do with thousands of PSA 10 in the pop versus some of the better cards, more fundamentals, I think that card is not going to perform as well as certain earlier things from WotC. But like that said, I still think my money's better spent investing into my business or investing into 401ks and IRAs. And but yeah, everyone's equations are different and everyone's math is different. And play, like I don't tell anyone what to do. So it's like place your bets and then we'll see where we end up.
Yeah, people's money is their own to do with as they please. I mean, let's just say, hey, your buckets are full. And for those of you who don't know what buckets are talking about, I mean, I think Dan's kind of put it up well. But like, hey, your stuff's taken care of. Like, actually, you usually explain the buckets better because I like the I'm going to butcher your bucket analogy.
I think I literally still have them. I literally still have them above my head. So you probably can't read this, but like what they are is you need to live. So like your necessary expenses, you need food, shelter, water, all that good stuff. Once those things are taken care of, you take your employer match because you turn $1 into $5 guaranteed. You pay off your 30% credit cards because that's a guaranteed 30% return. You do your IRAs and 401ks because that's tax advantaged. That is historically 10% per year return. And some people will work Pokemon in earlier, but overall, yeah, that's going back to what I said earlier on opportunity cost. Everyone's opportunity cost is different, but I know I used to sit at a lunch table at my former place of work with people who I know they had 8% student loans and I know they had 30% credit cards, and they were talking about, should I buy Champion's Path at $80 ETB? Should I buy Vivid Voltage at $140, $180, $200? I sold on release Battle Styles booster boxes for $150 a box. I sold $900 cases. Think of that opportunity cost. Think of people that at release bought, and some of those people probably still have the $900 cases they bought today carried on 30% interest credit cards to add insult to injury or to add injury to injury, however you want to call it. Those things exist. And there were people, I was selling $1,000 EV PSA 10 first edition jungle, $1,000 PSA 10 first edition jungle Pikachus. Some of those people were investors. They thought they were investing. It's like, we're all adults. We're all making adult decisions. You got to decide, like, but yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot in my 10 years, and a lot of it's scary.
Poor Battle Styles. It's going to the moon now.
I mean, it's coming back. They're almost back to break even before fees, before taxes, before all that.
Could have bought Nvidia, but okay. You were cooking on the live wars. It was a shame they didn't highlight more of the comments. I was crying. Okay. Let's pick up ABC Rob. I don't know what that means, Mimic.
Yeah, we're like 20 minutes behind.
Yeah, sorry, I'm really slacking on this stuff. So you've talked a little bit about, like, I know you use the Everest analogy, right? So, I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about the pandemic and kind of the boom, but there's a lot that's happened since. I mean, we're pretty far out of the pandemic now, I mean, relatively speaking. Do you see Pokemon having more peaks? I mean, a lot of people bank on, 30th anniversary is going to be huge, or, 40th anniversary is going to be killer, like that kind of stuff. Do you think we'll see, I call them Nexus events, like, I kind of rip off Marvel a little bit there, but do you see there being these big, like, crazy buying frenzies in the future, or do you see it being gradual? Like, what's your take?
I think we'll see a little bit of everything on a long enough timeline. But one thing, to be honest, really kind of scares me at times is in today's market, if someone is waiting for a boom, it's like, are we living in a different market? Look at Greninja. Look at Paldea Evolved. Look at Twilight Masquerade. Like, look at some of the things that are going on. Maybe it's because I was born into the 2014 market and I spent 5 years kind of seeing what that liquidity was, seeing what those prices were. And from 2014 to 2019, prices went up pretty decently, but slowly. Like the things that we're experiencing in today's market, it's a lot softer overall than what was happening prior, or what's been happening in the past like 2-3 years. But yeah, like when people are just waiting for the next boom, it's like, what are you talking about? Pokemon printed 12 billion cards last year, and all the boxes are like 100 plus. And I can't even order a lot of the boxes at distribution right now. I have distribution, but they have nothing for me. It's like, this is crazy what we're living in right now. This is the boom. Maybe we'll go up from here. Maybe more things will happen. But like, yeah, this is the time. This is what I was waiting for the first several years. I was never expecting this. It blows my mind what we're living in every day.
Do you think it's better to be selling cards right now, like someone in your position, or do you think it's better to be holding sealed product? Or, you know, maybe, I know we've talked about singles not being the best, but I think, you know, sealed product I come back to because I know you invest in it. Or do you, sorry, what do you think? Is it better to be selling, or is it better to be holding stuff? Do you think too many people are holding the sealed product? Was my next thought.
It's so dependent. I don't take advantage of it when I see this happen, but there are times that people come to me that they're like, I know you pay 80% and I know you require delivery before you pay, and can you pay me now? And then I send to you. And I'm like, I've never been scammed on this front of like buying collections. Thought you guys would pee in the bottle. Yeah. Just need to set something up off screen down below where I don't have to get up. But unfortunately, I don't have that set up yet.
I thought about it.
But I've genuinely, I'm talking in the past 6 months, I've bought collections from people where they're like, I need the money now. And I don't ask them what the scenario is. I don't know if it's the rent. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know. But I never take advantage of it. I still pay the rates that I publicly talk about. But I tell them, it's like, I will pay you right now, this instant. I will pay you goods and services. Oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want a 1099. I don't want this or that. Well, then it's like, you got to get it to me. I've had people expedite. I've had people like overnight me $1,000, $5,000 collections where they paid an extra $300 in shipping to get the stuff to me immediately. And it's like, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. I pay what I'm going to pay anyways. But like, that stuff happens. That's kind of, and maybe I need to make a video about that. Obviously, it's weird because I can't say like, hey, Bob, this random guy. Like, I can't put someone on blast over that. But your question was like, should people be? It's so dependent on your situation. I know Brad an hour ago. He makes jokes that I talk down to poor people or this or that. Like there are some people that like if it's your kids' lunch money, if it's your rent money, if it's this and that, I don't like. I'm not going to tell you to not invest in Pokemon, but I think you should think about it if you should invest in Pokemon, because truly some people are. Again, I used to sit at a lunch table with people that I used to work with, that scary stories. And I think I talked about it earlier too, and I forgot to say the stat that I heard from my HR. My company used to, you put in 1%, they turn it into 5%. 1% match, 3% profit sharing. 30% of my company approximately didn't take that free money. The enrollment in my company's 401k was only 70%. Wow. 30% of people, all you had to do was sign a piece of paper and put in 1% of your salary. If you made 100 grand, it would have been $20 a week. If you made 30 grand, it would have been $6 a week. And people did not do that. 30%, almost 1 in 3 people did not do that. If you're that person, if you're not doing that, I, in your shoes, would do that and then later think about investing in Pokemon. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying what I would do in your position. That's all I do. Like, I don't tell people, buy this, buy that. I'm saying I have this. If you want to buy it, there's an affiliate link below. Please click that before you buy it because it doesn't cost you any extra, yada, yada, yada. But, like, I do my best to not tell people what to do. You're all adults. You're all grown-ups. And maybe there's some 10-year-olds out there. I don't know how or why you'd be watching this. You should be watching PokeRev. But if you're here, we love to have you. But, yeah.
Be financially responsible, or don't. It's your life. We're all in the matrix here, man, together.
Yeah.
It's a good buy right now. I just picked up a Rayquaza. This is the same comment. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
Don't know if that came around. Hey, Eva. Good to see you. Good to see you. A lovely lady. Lovely lady. Okay, so I do want to talk about your April Fool's video. That video
Which
was
one? I think I've done a couple now.
Well, the most recent one. The most recent one. The one where you just basically like, that's where you say Fusion Strike booster boxes, 14. But I think one of my favorite lines from that is base set done right. 151 is base set. You know what I'm talking about? Base set done right. 151 is base set done right.
I actually just recently, I mentioned the live document that I have for like video ideas.
Yeah.
Just recently, I added like 2 videos that would be perfect for an April Fool's, but like I don't want to wait that long for them, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But my mind is going to those. I can't remember what I did for top 5 investments in Pokemon.
I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Because Fusion, you said like, I think if one of the first ones was Fusion Strike, I'm like, wait, this isn't usually what Dan talks about.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh wait, this is actually wait, what's he talking about? 14 grand for a Fusion Strike?
I remember now. I never said April Fool's. That's the biggest thing. And that video, to be honest, was scary. I put a calendar here that said April 1st, and it was posted on April 1st. I feel like I laced everything I said with tons of sarcasm. The commentary that I got, some of the comments, some of the conversations I had, people didn't know.
No, they were like, wow, yeah, let's go to the moon. Like, you're right. It's so good. Like, I read some of the comments. Yeah. Yeah. That
video was kind of scary. And it's funny because a year prior, I think I did the one a year prior. I did like vintage Pokemon is expensive. And I said, like, why buy $1,000 this when you could get a Moonbreon for that? And I was being like sarcastic, but it's funny because some of it panned out where like some of the vintage cards might have gone down. The Moonbreon actually went up. And what a lot of people will do is a lot of people will say like, hey, as of today, the return has been this. The prices have gone this way. So you are wrong. I am right. Yep. Or this is correct. And one thing that has to be said that I say many, many times, and I know Jake, my Patreon partner, Jake from Pokenomics, outcome does not relate to correctness of decision. I could go to the casino. I live 10 minutes from an Indian casino. I could go into the casino with $5 grand and I could get on a heater and I could turn it into 50. That doesn't mean I made a good decision.
Yes.
You walk into a casino, the odds are stacked against you. You start ripping Evolving Skies, the odds are stacked against you. You can open an Evolving Skies booster box for $700. You can pull in a Moonbreon that grades a 10. That doesn't mean it was a financially wise decision. You got lucky. That is the exception. So some people, they make money and they think they were right. And that's a dangerous thing. So I was born into my first 6 years in this space. We're learning how to navigate much lower prices, much lower liquidity. And I think a lot of people have been just skewed very drastically by having their bad decisions pan out and kind of make them think they're savants, overconfidence. They had a couple calls go correctly, so then they're going to up their next one. They're going to up their next one, and maybe it keeps working out. Maybe they keep being right. But yeah, you go in and you put 10K on black and it hits. That was the wrong call. That was dumb to do. That is negative EV. But someone can go in and they can turn 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 160 to 320. Someone can make tons of money doing stupid things and then end up thinking they were correct in doing them when they were not. So that's a very dangerous thing that's always at play in these markets. In these markets and in crypto and in stocks and in everything. You need to be very cognizant of all that.
Yeah, and I think I talk a bit about balance, and I mean you've touched on it a little bit too. I mean, look, if you want to have a risky part of your portfolio, you want to put 10 grand on black because you've got, you know, the other 90 grand is in the other stuff, and you're okay. Great, you go ahead and do that. But yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. So Mason Berry, don't ignore us. We will not be silenced. I don't know what's going on, but definitely not ignoring you.
Mason's so I don't know if you know Cardinal Gaming. That's the same guy right there.
Okay. There we go.
That's his personal account, but on YouTube he's Cardinal Gaming.
Okay, I see.
Good guy.
Man, we've got some cool guys in here. That's awesome. Symbols. That's awesome.
Oh man.
What's this one here? What poem is it? Medicine dealer.
I get lost in what people are referencing because it's like, when you're 10 to 20 minutes behind, it's like, I don't know what comment that was said about.
I should have put, yeah. So actually, and that brings us out 8% pay deduction towards my DOD. Yeah, I mean, I don't have employee matching, but for me, RSPs in Canada are like, you know, X amount of your, you know, your tax bracket comes back or whatever it is. So I mean, for me to contribute to RSPs, I mean, I have the money, I can invest in things I want to invest in a, you know, in a brokerage account or whatever it is. But I also get money back at the end of the year because of my taxes, right? So, like, if there's any, and that's free money. Yeah, I get taxed on it when I draw it out when I'm 65 or whatever. But if you have a chance to get free money, you should take it. You should definitely take it. Like that's my tell. Like your employee does vesting or whatever, that they give you shares or matches. You should always do that. Better for some mutual drama. Quite honestly. I really liked that video. It was scary to see some of the comments in there. People, I mean, even today, I put up, there was the Lacey reveal from Stella Miracle, the Japanese set, and she's doing like the little crossed arms, right? Like, did you see it? Did you see that the color came up?
No, I usually try to not look at spoilers too much.
Sorry, yeah. So this one here, she's doing like the little crossed arm thing. So I put this up as like a thumbnail, like investing mistakes, right? Like like the twice baked Jake thing. And and I put it up as a joke, like these are the Pokemon, stop these Pokemon investing mistakes before it's too late. And I put a little 151 box next to it. And a few people were like, oh man, should I not be investing in 151? Like, is that a mistake?
It's really scary. Like if some random person on the internet can shake you to your core on what you've decided to invest in or not invest in, and if one random person saying something can make you question that deeply what you're doing, it's like you should really think more about what you're doing, at least in my opinion. Again, listen to whoever you want to listen to, take it all into account, and then make your ultimate decision and own your decision. Personal responsibility. July Fools. I do need to do one at some point because like I don't think I can wait years to do the 2 ideas that I have.
I love those videos. Something really counter-erratic. But it's Moon Priya. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so far behind on this chat. Oh, these guys have been matching every sip. Okay, that's great. If anyone wants to play any drinking games, yeah, just keep drinking.
Cheers to that.
This is a strong one. I'm gonna pay for this tomorrow.
I'm at 6.8 on these. The
other ones were less. Like I had this was 4.8. This was nothing. This one was 7. Oh god. This one, yeah. a little bit strong. And I wonder I can't read the chat notes. Even when poor people are right there.
Oh
I'll
man.
get there by the fifth or sixth divorce, maybe. Not that many. Okay, this is a question. Like this will get me through a little bit. Best vacation spot in Canada with the kids. I would love to visit Canada sometime. Yeah, I mean Ontario's a beautiful place. Niagara Falls is pretty cool. I think Oscar Wilde said after the wedding night, because Niagara Falls is a very popular honeymoon destination. Like people will go there to get married or have their honeymoon. So Oscar Wilde said, I think after the wedding night, Niagara Falls is the second biggest disappointment. So, but it's actually quite nice. It's actually quite a nice place to go. So yeah, BC's gorgeous too. You know, Yosemite's up there, right? So you get Yosemite. So yeah, there's some really nice places up in Canada. Just depends what you like. But Toronto's a cool city. Vancouver's pretty cool too.
Where are you in Canada?
I'm in London, Ontario. So I'm about an hour and a half away driving from Toronto. So I'm in Toronto quite a lot for work, or close to. I drive kind of all around. It's very nice. You get 4 seasons. I mean, it's very similar weather to what you're in New York, right? You're in New York.
Yeah, I'm a little bit east of Syracuse. I'm like 3 hours from Niagara Falls.
Okay, we're actually super close to each other. Yeah. Like I could probably drive and see you in a day. Yeah, so same kind of weather. You get the snow, you get the heat, you get it all. It's very similar geography. So yeah, I've wanted to do that. I actually was talking to Leanne, my wife, and like I'd love to do the office drive, like just go down and see, you know, like Syracuse, do Utica, and it's Scranton is on the way too, right? Like you can actually stop in Scranton and do like the pilgrimage.
Scranton's down in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Well, if you ever do that, definitely hit me up. I'll buy you lunch or dinner or whatever time of day it is in Utica.
Oh, I'm not
far from there.
I would
hit
love
me
it.
up
This
for
could
sure.
go to Utica, man. Like that freaking episode where he's like, "We'll burn Utica to the ground." I forget.
Yeah.
Freaking love that. Big Office fan. Who's your worm guy? I don't know what's going on in the chats here. Who's your worm? Who is your worm guy? What does that mean to you?
I don't know if that's for me or for you. It's not ringing any bells for me.
Is this Dwight Schrute? Does he say that?
Maybe it might be a Dwight Schrute thing. Yeah.
Wilderness over the city. Toronto's nice. Yeah. Get out somewhere in Alberta. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. A lot of cool stuff. iFOMO's in the chat too. Just trying to pay some service here to the chat. Date night.
Yeah, that's the casino that I'm really close to, right off the throughway. It'd be right along the way.
You're putting 10 grand on black every. Is it an always bet on black situation for you?
See, I do partake in a little bit again. Like I'm a blackjack guy. Okay. I will go in with a certain budget, and I'll know the math is stacked against me, but I still have a good time. I have a good time playing it. But yeah, I think a lot of people in this space, they justify their gambling by, oh, it's an investment. It goes up over time. I'm going to make money. So they justify spending more than they should based off the fact that they think it's plus EV. They're going to make money. When I go to the casino, when I go to the Turning Stone, I know what I'm up against. I know the math, and I know that, like, hey, I could go to the movies. I could go to a Rangers game. I could go to a whatever and spend X amount of money. So I'm happy losing $100, $200, whatever it is. But a lot of people a lot of people just stretch their means because, oh, it's an investment. I'm going to make money.
Sorry. Okay, so the worm thing is Creed. The worm thing is Creed Bratton.
Oh, Creed. Yeah, Creed is awesome.
Oh, man. There's the Yosemite in Canada. Yeah, there is. Okay, let me ask you this. So crossovers, we talked about this a bit with a couple of guests, but so there's the Mario ones that have been pretty cool. So what is there any crossover you'd like to see or that you think would be pretty cool for Pokemon?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shout out PK for this one, Poke Knowledge. I am a huge Super Smash Brothers fan, but not GameCube one. I'm an N64 Smash one.
Oh, me too. Me too.
So N64 Smash is the best Smash. Like, please at me. I will stand by that. I will die on that hill. N64 Smash is the best Smash. So yes. Give me Pikachu wearing a Donkey Kong outfit. Pikachu wearing a Link a Ness, all the Star Fox, all the things. If you go into GameCube, now it's like, holy, you've instead of what was it, like 12 or 16 characters in N64, now you've got like 32 or 48 or go into you've got Melee with GameCube, you've got Brawl with the next system after GameCube, the Wii. And then the I have the one for Switch, and there's got to be like 80 characters in that one, I think.
Solid Snake.
Yeah, I don't even know who all of them are, but I would start with like, okay, we're gonna do Super Smash Brothers. We're gonna start with N64, and we're gonna get that. We're gonna get all the ones I mentioned. That would be amazing. Like literally, just put the clothes on Pikachu instead of just Mario. Nintendo, Game Freak, like you own all those things. Just let Game Freak, let Pokemon have it. Throw those clothes on Pikachu, and we're gonna be in great shape. That will be our next boom. That will bring us all to salvation, financial independence, whatever you're after. That's what I want, truly.
Buy it now and click the affiliate link below.
Yes.
Yeah, click.
Well, you won't be able to buy it from me because I won't sell it. I will be long on that set. I will be investing in that set with everything I have.
You know they'll overprint it. They'll print it to the ground. Do you collect a lot of Japanese still, or do you? I mean, sorry, not collect. Do you invest in the Japanese stuff, like the booster boxes?
151 right now. I really like that it's the first set that ever put all of Kanto in one set. Growing up, it was like Pokemon Yellow was my thing, and getting all that in one set, I think is great fundamentals, if you want to call it that. If we're investing, so I have several hundred boxes of 151. If it goes lower, I will buy more. Like I'm not overstretching. I'm not. I think one thing I constantly say is don't go broke on good deals, so that when great deals turn up, you don't have the capital, you don't have the cash flow to buy them. So I think 151 is a good deal at 50, 52, whatever it is. I'm not telling people to buy it. I'm just telling people I've bought 500 or 600 boxes.
If it goes like you are,
yeah, if it goes to 40, I will buy a lot more. If it goes to 30, which it could, I will buy a lot more again. So I just tell people what I'm doing and why. And if you want to follow along, if you want to try, like, yeah, this is just what I'm doing and why. So I have 151. I have V-Star Universe. I have Shiny Treasure. I have a lot of different sets. And I will be in trouble if I don't say that I bought them all through Retrospecs, who has been talking in here a little bit. He is my Japanese plug because I don't buy most of it direct. He has the connection. So yeah, Retro's in chat right there. Feel free to DM him on Instagram if you're looking to buy and don't have a good source.
No, yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Best Pokemon game?
Crystal. So I started with Yellow, but like Crystal added the day, night, added a lot of new things, and once you beat it, it's like, hey, the 8 gems, you do the Elite Four, their version of it, whatever. And then you loop back and you do all that amazing stuff in the Yellow area again. So to me, like hands down, Crystal. But that said, I played Yellow and then I played Crystal. I beat it. And then I started Sapphire. I didn't finish it. I got a Pokemon originally in like 03. So I never even finished Sapphire. I didn't play Diamond and Pearl, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Gold. Like I didn't play tons of generations in between. I haven't played the new ones even. So I've only ever played the original 3 eras, and I only finished the first 2. So with that context, I picked Crystal. Yeah, how about you?
So for me, like I'll always be like, so I wrote a strategy guide on a floppy disk when I was whatever, 12, 11, 13, whatever it was, for Pokemon Red. And I would love to go back and read it because it was all just like turn left, turn right, like do this, like turn around, all that stuff. But for me, me and my buddy, his name's Ash, we played Pokemon Gold on a pirated version, half Japanese, half English on his PC. and it was just like the best experience. Like it was crazy. Like we would spend hours playing this game. Like he would control it, I would control it. We would learn like the moves, and we would realize the symbols were this or that. Like that was just such a cool memory from my childhood. And then, you know, I played Gold, I played Silver when they came out on the Game Boy or whatever. But Heart Gold, Soul Silver, just kind of the updated graphics, like just the way that it was, that was really a cool game for me. So I got to pick Heart Gold, probably Heart Gold. I'm a big Ho-Oh fan over Lugia, or Lugia, as you guys say. I never thought about doing Pokemon Sweets. I knew Dan had redeeming qualities. Crystal Bros for life. Yeah, Crystal was good. Crystal was good. I'm a big fan of XY too. Like that era, like that. One of the best ending sequences from the games.
I never played Legends Arceus. I'm looking forward to the time. Going back on what I said earlier, I feel like I'm constantly looping back on our earlier conversation. It's been a great one. But my son is turning 6 very soon. He's a little bit young still, I think, to play the main games. Because like when Yellow came out, I was 9, 10. Like you need to be able to read fairly well. You need to be able to and he wants to learn badly, like the actual TCG. He wants to start playing the games. Yeah, I went to the bathroom again quick, sorry. But I'm back, and I'm with another apple juice, so we're good for a minute. But yeah, my son, I told my wife this, because my son, maybe a year ago, maybe not quite a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, whenever it was, he got really big into Minecraft. And then it must have been like 8 months ago, because then for Christmas, I got a Minecraft. He was watching YouTubers play it and this and that. And once he got Minecraft, he started playing it, and he got discouraged because he was only 5 and he wasn't very good at it. And even though I put him on easy, he was getting killed by the zombies, and he was getting killed by the little guys that blow up, whatever, creepers. And he got like discouraged, and he quit playing it, and he got me sucked into it, and I started playing it, and he just watched me play it. But I don't want to give my son Violet or Scarlet too early. And I don't want him to be like, hey, Dad, I don't know, what are they saying? What do I have to do? Where do I go? I want him to be able to navigate it himself. So I want to wait until he's ready. And then once he's ready, it's like he will have a Switch with Scarlet and Violet, and he will have, I literally have every system all the way back to Game Boy Color, the Advance, the SP, the DS, the DS2 Lite, whatever other thing. I have all of them, and I have all the games ready to go. Whenever he's ready, I'm ready. I guess I'll have to get a duplicate of him. I'll play, like, if he's playing X, I'll play Y. If he's playing Black, I'll play White. If he's playing Pearl, I'll play Diamond. Like, I am so excited, but I don't want to put him into it too early, because I saw what happened with Minecraft. And even though he was so excited watching people do it on YouTube, he couldn't replicate it because he just didn't have the motor skills, the reading, the whatever, to be able to do it. So yeah, when he's ready, I'm gonna go all in with him, and I'm so excited for that. But I don't want to rush it.
No, I love that. I love that, and I'm finding the same thing with Madeline too. Like we play Mario Kart together. Like she wants to be Princess Peach all the time, right? So yeah, she's old enough to realize that she's not winning the game, but she's still trying to enjoy it because she's fucking get it to go and like spin around. Like she can't figure it out how to go faster. And like she's like, where are you in the race? Like why am I like number, like whatever it is, like number 10 or 11? Like why am I not again? They're on like 50cc or whatever. Yeah. So it's true though. You want them to enjoy it. You don't want them to have a negative memory that they associate, because kids do that. They pick things up and they're like, yeah, I don't want to play that anymore because that time before, like it was really bad, right? So I think you're smart to wait, I think.
Yeah, we play Mario Party, and my wife will beat me in certain mini games, but I will say I'm the best in the house. My wife might be listening right now. She knows I'm the best in the house. My daughter's only 3. My son is only 5. So usually it's my son and my wife against me and my daughter. My daughter is by far the worst because she's only 3 and she's just pressing buttons, doesn't know. But it's a pretty good match usually. Like, and the way Mario Party is it's just inherently like so much luck is built into it. Like they award the star for who landed on the most, whatever spaces or this or that. But it's usually a pretty good match because like I'm kind of carrying and it just balances out to where, and then the randomness, the RNG, it brings it to be where it's like a good matchup and everyone has a blast. And but the TCG too, like my son really wants to learn the TCG. And I've had those thoughts. I've had those like visions of like 5-10 years from now, my son trying to compete, go to worlds, win the trophy Pikachu cards. And I'm here for it, but I don't want to push him into it too early for sure.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. Right? I always remember my dad being like, hey, listen to this song, listen to this thing. Like, it's really good. Like, and, you know, I listen to those songs now. And I'm like, oh, it's freaking incredible. But back then it was like, I don't want to listen to this. My dad's trying to push this stuff on me. Right. So I'm very, very cognizant of that. Like, I want my kids to discover these things are awesome and me to be like, oh, yeah, they're okay. Like, because I don't know how your experience was, but I was like, no, whatever my dad's into, no, I'm not going to be doing that. But in hindsight, he's trying to get me to listen to like Dire Straits and friggin' stuff and Led Zeppelin. And I'm like, you know what? Just leave me alone. But he's absolutely right. Yeah. It's a tough one, man. Tough one. Rest of the house goes to work, school, and what a flag. I love that. For a billion-soul family in a game. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're getting a lot of hate for this one. Get a lot of hate. Dan wants his children in tournaments so he can. I was actually thinking the same thing. He's like, yeah, son, I'll train you up. We'll play Battle Academy until the cows come home. You get that Pikachu.
If my kids ever won a trophy card, like I actually have one trophy card. I call it my inventory, but I have it priced so high relative to what market is today. It's basically a collection piece. And I'm in a good financial spot. Like if one of my kids ever won, I would buy it from them. Like if they decided they wanted to sell it, I would just buy it from them at market price. And then I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't get rid of it. I wouldn't flip it off of them. I would keep it. And then 20, 30, 50 years down the line, I would be like, hey, I never actually sold that card. Like, here's your card back. I would love for that to be a thing. But if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, that's fine too. I'm not going to push my kids. I'm not going to force my kids into Pokemon. Thankfully, it is an amazing franchise. It is very like highly engaging, highly just entertaining to people of all ages. And like my kids being surrounded by it because I do this full time, they're just naturally very engaged in it by themselves.
I love that.
How's it going, Dan Hazard?
Do they help you to pack anything up? Are they like, I mean, my girls are kind of crafty. I don't know what the boys are like. Do they like to like write the labels and try and like stick freaking Tinkerbell stickers on the packages?
Yeah, they help me break down product. They help me open packs. They help me sort stuff. They are, I talk about all the buckets. I talk about all the tax strategy and this and that. And they are at the appropriate age. They will be on the payroll and they will be funding their own Roth IRAs. And the amount of tax advantages that come in there, having your kids involved in your business is huge. And as I said, my wife is the vice president of KetchumAllCollectibles Incorporated too, which goes very well tax-wise.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And hey, these are all benefits that you get from just not selling stuff by yourself on a Reddit forum or a marketplace forum. So I guess we'll start to wrap up in a bit because a few people have told me, hey, once I hit the 2-hour mark, I start looking like I'm pretty tired, and I am feeling it a little bit. But what advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own business, specifically in the Pokemon or a TCG space?
I would say go for it. I would give the caveats and disclaimers of like not quitting your day job. If you have something very stable, I wouldn't say go for it as in quit your stable job and put your entire family at risk and all those things. So given the right situations, I did this part-time on the side as a side hustle, whatever you want to call it. I did this for 7 years, 2014 to 2021, before I went full-time. So start doing it on the side as a hobby and see if you enjoy it. Like you might love the buying side, and then you go to list on eBay and you're like, this sucks. I hate these messages. I hate these lowball offers. I hate this, that. Try the consigning thing maybe. Try all the different avenues, dabble in all the different areas of the market, and see what works for you and see what doesn't, and run with those that, like, it's such a good spot that you can't really automate the sourcing side of it. I guess aside from building a big community, like if I make a video where I just say, hey, I'm buying this or that, I guess I kind of do automate the sourcing to an extent, because I've built a big enough following that, like, if I say, hey, anyone that's watching, if you have X, Y, or Z, hit me up, I'll buy it from you. That does, in a way, kind of automate, or at least lighten the burden, lighten the lift on sourcing side. But on the selling side, absolutely. You can automate a lot of that. You can outsource it. Different aspects of it you can outsource. So do all of it. See which ones you enjoy. Try the bulk grind. Try the pack ripping. You can start a whatnot. You can start all these different accounts with like such a low barrier to entry. So just try some of it and see what works out.
I like that. I like that advice. So retro's leaving because he's got bachelor. Look, so this comment here, right here, look, BF duty boyfriend. Once you're married, you don't have to watch that shit anymore, man. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you right now. You don't have to watch that.
And I did have the pleasure of meeting. I've met Retro a handful of times. I had the pleasure of meeting Retro's girlfriend back in Dallas. Was it Dallas Collecticon? He's got to wife her up before she moves on. I mean, I think they've been together a while, so he's got to take that leap at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was the 5-year rule. Like, hey, I mean, yeah, I'm getting older already. I don't know if I'm going to get many better offers, but like, if you've been together for that long, hey, you gotta. It's like stick or twist time. I could use the washroom, but this is a great question, great segue. I'm not just going to bail while you're talking, okay? So,
yeah.
what is your plan if Pokemon becomes irrelevant in 10 to 15 years? I'll be right back.
Yeah, so if Pokemon were to become irrelevant in 10 to 15 years, one, I would be highly surprised. But my plan is in action, in full swing as of today. So as of today, I am fully maxing out all my buckets that I talked about. I am debt-free. I am maxing out IRAs and 401ks. I am pretty risk-averse in a lot of ways. So like those are the things that I do to allow myself to have what I deem such a risky job in a speculative space like cardboard. So if Pokemon were to become irrelevant in 10 to 15 years, though, I'd be really surprised. My kids are very into it. My wife is a 3rd, 4th grade teacher. I don't say that as a guess between is she a 3rd or a 4th grade teacher. She's actually both, because she loops. She does one 3rd grade class, and then she takes them to 4th grade, and then she goes back to 3rd after they go on to 5th. But anyways, I think there would be signs that Pokemon was on the decline. I think the print runs would go down substantially, the liquidity, the prices, a lot of things would start going down over years and years. And it wouldn't just happen like 10 years pass, it's 2034, and then just snap overnight, Pokemon dies. There would be some amount of signs along the way, but I'm preparing for it already. I think we're still in the biggest boom Pokemon has ever experienced. In a lot of ways, the boom has subsided from 2021, 2020. But in a lot of other ways, like it's still at the peaks. All the prices aren't at the peaks, but the liquidities are. The liquidities are the highest they've ever been. The print runs are the highest they've ever been. A lot of the video game side, a lot of the video games today, like if you look era by era, the highest selling were still red, blue, yellow, green, the Japanese one. But after that, like a lot of the high selling ones are the Scarlet and Violet and the Sword and Shield. And we're in a boom right now. Like if you're waiting for the next boom, what are you waiting for? We're in it right now.
I love that. Just wait until Trump comes back, guys. Like the biggest boom we had was under Donald Trump. Yeah, the guy just got shot at. Like it's gonna be freaking nuts. Just you wait, guys. Yeah, get some Lockheed Martin stock as well while you're at it.
And as Walrus says, I'll just have my wife get a 2nd or a 3rd job to make ends meet. I'll make the sugar mama produce a little extra sugar.
I see that. Project gets done when I choose you. Is that? I guess that's how you propose. Yeah, this is how you do it.
Yeah, yeah. I proposed in 2014, very early on in the Pokemon. Luckily for my wife, like if we just timed it where in life I had proposed in like 2018, 4 years into my Pokemon thing, I might have gone for something like that. She probably would have not been too happy with that, but I might have gone for it.
Yeah, what was, I don't even remember now. I think I got married in 2018. Time goes, man. Time just goes.
It does.
Everyone says it goes fast. It really does. Fifth and sixth grades too. That's
oh man.
Well, look, I'm gonna wrap things up now, guys, because I don't want to go too long, and I'm starting to lose my ability to see clear. There's a ring light right here. But Dan, I want to say, like, it has been an absolute pleasure to interview you. I am so grateful that you decided to join us for Apple Juice Breaks. You're a fucking legend, and we're gonna have you back. I'm gonna get this tier list thing going, where I get a few people on who maybe don't see things exactly the same way, and we can have some fun. But you've given up your time very graciously, and I really genuinely appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I very much appreciate you reaching out. It's been a blast. Like 2 hours 20 minutes flew by. I had a great time, and yeah, very thankful you reached out. Definitely one of my favorite live streams I've been on, including all of my own, for sure.
I'm really glad to hear that. That's so kind. That's so kind. And YouTube user says the Trump joke is going to actually be, look, when I was at the bank and I was joking with people that Trump won on the night of the election, and he actually did. Like, from now on, like, all bets are off. All bets are off. Like, the craziest thing you think will happen will actually happen. But okay. Yeah. So Dan, thank you so much, man. Genuinely, I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who joined. People who've been sitting here for 220. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you for Apple Juice Breaks. The next one I have scheduled is Rock Sandy, but we might have a couple of surprise guests between now and then. So I will see you guys another time. Okay.
Thanks, chat. Thank you.